recently in Washington, D.C., one of the service members, Sarah Beckstrom, lost her life, and another, Andrew Wolf, is fighting for his. Please keep them and their families in your thoughts during this difficult time. Any other items you want to add to the meditation? Seeing none, please join me in a moment of silent meditation. Councilmember Hernandez.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You be seated. We'll do the roll call, starting with District 1. Councilmember Hernandez.
Present.
Councilmember Hill.
Present.
District 2, Councilmember Jordan.
Present.
Councilmember Simmons.
Here.
District 3, Councilmember Oates.
Here.
Councilmember Anker.
Present.
District 4, Mayor Pro Tem Mackey.
Here.
And Councilmember Mitchell.
Present.
We'll do the announcement in the same order, starting with Councilmember Hernandez.
Good evening and welcome to the last meeting of the year. I'm excited to invite you all to join us next Monday, December 15th at 7 p.m. for a conversation among neighbors to discuss Councilmember Hughes and I's new term priorities. This is a continuation from the past 2 years' district discussions. We are grateful to have as a guest speaker the Director of Public Services, Jatinder Kokar, and his team, who will be providing remarks on a range of code and parking enforcement initiatives, including potential plans for addressing overcrowding, yard maintenance, and so much more. Please make it there. Also, this afternoon, I was excited to see and share with you today that one of our community schools, Parkdale High School, announced that it will be hosting its second parent meeting of the year to discuss collaboration opportunities between parents and Parkdale administration officials. This has been a long time effort in order for us to try to work towards a PTA, PTO sort of group. The meeting is going to be on Tuesday at Parkdale High School, December 16th at 5 p.m. Parents are reminded to please complete the survey that was sent out with a notification, and I look forward to seeing you at the meeting. Finally, I hope that you will join me or consider joining me in supporting District 1's very own Berwyn Ballet at this year's performance of the Nutcracker. There will be 2 performances this weekend, one on December 13th at 7:30 p.m., and then on Sunday, December 14th at 4 p.m. at the Hoff Theater in the Stamp Student Union.
Thank you. Councilmember Hill.
Yes, thank you. And yes, I'd also like to include in the announcement that Councilmember Hernandez had, I'd like to include that on Thursday, the 11th at 7:30 p.m., the North College Park Civic Association will be having their meeting, followed by their holiday potluck. And on this weekend, December 12th through the 14th, the College Park Airport Museum will be celebrating their holiday trains and planes. If you have not attended this in the past, it is a unique experience, a very well decked out display of model trains and holiday decorations. It's definitely worth going to. And then also, yes, our District 1's very own Berwyn Ballet will be having their Nutcracker series presented, as Councilmember Hernandez mentioned, on the 13th at noon, and on the I got ahead of myself. On the 13th at 7:30, and on the 14th at 4 p.m. However, on the 13th, that first Saturday at noon, they will be having their repertoire of holiday-themed ballets and dances and special variations performed by the select upper-level students. So you can do a double show on the 13th noon and then again at 7:30. It's great to see young people getting involved in classical performances. Ballet and classical music is something that will follow them and be part of our community going forward. So it's great to support them and have this asset in our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome back from Hawaii.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Jordan.
Hello. Lots of festivities this week. I attended the Berwyn District Civic Association Perry Plaza lighting. That's been going on for many, many years. It was chilly, but there was hot chocolate to go around. And then the Lakeland Civic Association had their tree lighting, and it was lovely. They had a bonfire and lots of treats to share. In addition, we went to the Winter Wonderland, which College Park put on with live music, and you can see some of the winners of the gingerbread houses and those lovely displays in City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Simmons.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. Like Councilmember Jordan, I was able to attend the Lakeland tree lighting this past Sunday. Unfortunately, I had prior commitments during the Berwyn tree lighting. But the event that I was able to attend was really lovely, a very nice time for folks who gathered there. And I would encourage everyone to swing by Lakeland's tree and see the nice sign that they've put up for the holidays. It's a new addition.
Thank you. Councilmember Oates.
On the topic of, well, first I'll just say a huge kudos to the city for the Winter Wonderland event. I know that was a big undertaking, and the city staff worked quite hard on it, so I thought it was great. I'd also just wanted to give a good kudos to the Calvert Hills Citizens Association, which put on their tree lighting this past Sunday, a tradition that's been going on since at least 1945. So it was really great to see people, and hope everyone is doing well.
Thank you. Councilmember Ranker.
Want to welcome Raising Cane's, which opened officially this morning to District 3 and to College Park. Special thanks to the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem for being there and representing the city. And I certainly enjoyed the chicken.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Mackey.
Yes, thank you very much. I just wanted to also just thank all the communities that invited us, the councils, to their tree lightings and festivities, and just for the Winter Wonderland that the staff put on. I just want to remind residents that the schedule for December for leaf collection is out on the website, so please check it out, when your leaves will be collected, if you so desire, to rake them to the edge of your property. And another wonderful thing that we do in the city is we collect food scraps to alleviate food waste in our landfills. So it's a great opportunity to be part of that, because until the end of the month they're giving away free containers. So thank you.
Thank you. And now finally, Councilmember Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to say that on December the 13th from 10:30 to 12 noon at the Lakeland College Park Community Center, there's a winter cookie decorating day for our young scholars. So if any family members would like to venture there. Also want to bring up the Prince George's County Park and Recreation has the Festival of Lights at Watkins Regional Park. It will be from now until January 1st, from 5 to 9:30 p.m. It's $15 per car online. I bring it up because I participated last year for the first time, and I would say I had an immense ball going around with the tree lighting. So I would say for anybody who's interested, please partake in that. I also want to take a point of personal privilege to acknowledge our own colleague, Councilmember Alan Hugh. He, at the National League of Cities, was appointed as an at-large member for APAMO, if I got that correctly. So he is an at-large member, so he is representing the city of College Park well at the National League of Cities.
Congratulations.
Yes. Also, I'd like to give a shout-out for two young ladies I happened to meet last week, at University of Maryland at the Public Policy MML internship program, Tamitai Tawu, and
She here?
are you,
Raise your hands, please. There you go.
and Maddie Matthew. And you please stand up. They came and participated for the possible internship that MML will give this coming spring to municipalities where they will learn about public policy, planning. So they were so keen and interested, they wanted to come and participate in our city council meeting tonight. So thank you so very much for coming. Thank you.
There you go.
And last but not least, many of you have heard over the last couple of days, and on part of my colleagues, I would like to say that I'm extremely proud to hopefully know that in the next couple of days, our own delegate from the 21st delegation, Jocelyn Pena-Melnick, will be cast as the next Speaker of the House for the state of Maryland. She has represented the city College Park as a former council member, and this will be a great honor bestowed upon her, but it is truly something we all should be wrapping arms around to acknowledge her strength as a woman, and for the state of Maryland, she would be a great asset. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Round of applause. Such a proud moment for College Park. She was a city council member. All right, let's go to a student liaison, Nicholas DeSpeda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've had the opportunity to meet with some of the new council members and discuss their priorities for the upcoming year, and we look forward to obviously working with them going forward. We also look forward to discussing the early lease ordinance later tonight and discussions that will be had about that. So, thank you.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Bujma.
Echoing what Nick said, we're very excited to work with the new council members. I had the chance to speak with all of you, and I'm really excited about all of your ideas. And then additionally, just things we've been working on this week is just talking with students, different stakeholders about the early lease ordinance, given that the vote is scheduled for tonight.
Thank you. Let's go to our city manager's report. Mr. Young.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and residents of College Park. A couple of quick announcements, mostly for North College Park area. Due to the recent precipitation and low temperatures, work on the Route 10 Street sidewalk project will resume on Thursday on the 11th. Parking restrictions have been updated by the contractor, so that's for District 2. And contractors for Prince George's County Department of Public Works and Transportation, they'll continue work on the sidewalk and bike paths on Rhode Island Avenue between Paducah and Sunnyside Road. There may be minor delays due to lane shifts, and temporary flagging operations will be occurring during the daytime hours, so be aware of that. And we also have WSSC will be conducting emergency repair work in the 4700 block of Hollywood tomorrow, Wednesday the 10th. If weather conditions are favorable, traffic may be temporarily detoured to allow crews to repair the water service there. Also, we have brought back the city's holiday decorating contest. It's back. For details, you can submit your entry and visit collegeparkmd.gov /Deck the City 2025. Submit your entries online between December 1st through the 15th at 12 p.m. Photos of entries will be posted on the city's Facebook, with voting will be open from the 16th through the 18th, and winners will be notified on December the 19th via email.
Thank you. Any question for Mr. Young? Seeing none, let's do the acknowledgement. I see I hate to say the word, former Councilmember John Rigg is in the audience, has joined online, and also former District 2 City Council Member Bob Catlin is in the room as well. I hope I'm not missing anybody else. I don't want to be in trouble. No, I don't have. All right, let's go to amendments to an approval of the agenda. Mr. Oates, you have one? And then.
So I was gonna move agenda item number 11 to occur after agenda item number 13. So it's moving our presentations after our action items.
Second.
So let's take a vote on this item. All in favor, say aye. Moving number 11 to after all the action items, which is number 13. Any opposed, any abstentions? So the amendment has been approved. Any other amendment? Okay. Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
So the motion is on the table. Do you have another amendment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have another amendment.
Okay, so the motion
I'm
is on the
sorry.
table to approve it. Can you draw it to Mr. Ranker or whoever made?
Withdrawn.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman Ranker.
Ms. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to remove from the agenda 25-0-13, an ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the City of College Park, amending Chapter 125, Housing Regulations, Article 1, General Provisions by adding 125-18 to establish a time frame which owners must communicate an offer for successive lease or notice on non-renewal to a current tenant to the February 3rd, 2026 Mayor and Council meeting.
Second.
So I'd like to take the vote on this. So basically, the suggestion is to take out the ordinance item completely from the agenda. Can I do the roll call, maybe?
Can I ask a question?
Point
of order?
Discussion. Yeah.
Sure. Actually, let's give the opportunity to Ms. Mitchell to give further comments while you're moving this.
To my colleagues, we're moving the ordinance 25-0-13 to February 13th. February 3rd. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Mackey. Due to the fact that we received late communication this afternoon to all of us via email. And in that communication, there were several elements that wanted to be renewed as far wanted to be made amendments to. At that time, many of us had not had an opportunity to actually digest what was being received. And it would not be fair not to even have the city staff, the city attorney to weigh in as well. And that is the reason why we're asking to move this to the meeting in February.
Thank you. Do you still have questions, Mr. Hannan, on this?
Yeah, one question is, if we do move it to February 3rd, does the public comment or like
Public records.
record remain open?
Still, these records will be open. Yeah. All right. Are there any other question?
It's a debatable, right?
Yeah, you can discuss it.
No, I appreciate the motion to table, but I feel like these are important things that we can talk about and talk through in ways that I hope will be satisfactory and still move forward tonight with a vote. So I will be voting not to table.
Any other comments?
Can I ask you a question, Mayor?
Please.
From a procedural perspective, when we have this conversation again, are we able to debate and discuss, or is it straight to a vote?
When you say conversation, which one?
Like, will it still be, it's an action item at the moment, isn't it?
Tonight, if we do not table it now, it will be discussed as an action item tonight. Yeah. If there is no question, let's do a roll call maybe. Councilmember Hernandez?
Can I ask?
Yeah, sorry.
So just for my knowledge, in the context of an action item, would there be the opportunity not to take action this evening?
Yes, we could still bring it up during the action item period before the presentation. And then at that time, this item could be tabled.
Okay.
So the difference would be discuss a little bit during that time and then table it instead of table it all together right now. So if you table it right now, there will not be any discussion tonight. Mr. Hill.
If we don't table it this evening and we do discuss it as Councilmember Simmons just mentioned, we would be able to have public discussion, public comment.
Yes.
At this point, would we be able to have public comment again if we do not take action on it tonight and we follow up on it on the February 3rd?
You're asking if we have, the public can have opportunity to
speak again,
speak
to
tonight.
comment again on the February 3rd, if we choose to take action
If
then.
there is any amendment.
Yeah.
If there is an amendment,
Yeah.
there will be.
Okay.
Mr. Ranker.
I was wondering if we could, I don't know if this would be a point of privilege or whatever, but to hear from the liaisons.
We can, if there is an objection, certainly we can, after Ms.
I have an
Mitchell.
objection. Let's just vote on this and this move, proceed.
Let's see, last opportunity to comment on Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I'm going to underscore, there's too many elements that need to be addressed and have not been weighed in by our city attorney. We're voting on something we haven't even yielded to our city attorney to give opinion on. My second concern is, as we're going to sit up here on the dais and talk about it, it's then going to become a work session discussion. And that is not what we hear. This is a business meeting. So that's why I'm saying allow the process to move accordingly and let the city attorney and the city staff do their due diligence on it. Keep the record open until the 3rd of February, and then we can come back and vote on it.
Certainly. If it is okay, Mr. Rhodes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to comment. I think it may be helpful to have some discussion tonight, but not vote on the final version tonight. But I know that city staff has already kind of done the work and presented this to us for action, which is why it's on the action part of the agenda. So if we could either keep it as on the agenda as an action item, but table it when it comes up, or before taking a decision, or discuss it as a work session item as part of this meeting, I think it would be helpful to at least, especially for the new council members, to be able to have some discussion of this before it comes back to us, without, with the city staff having done more work, but without any additional guidance from or kind of direction from council. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Yeah.
I'm in all support of this. I think that in all fairness to the new council members who have just come on, that this would be more appropriate as a work discussion item. If we can move it from action to work discussion for this evening, I'd be in full support of that.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson, do you have any comment? Thank you all for your patience.
The first thing we do need to do is to consider the motion that's on the table.
Certainly. So we need to take the vote.
So we need to take the vote, and then if we want to move it to work session, we do that in a separate motion.
Okay.
What is the motion on the table?
Motion on the table is to table it, amend the agenda so that this item will be removed, or rather moved to another time, February, in the first February meeting. That is the motion. Roll call, Mr. Hernandez.
No.
Mr. Hugh.
Yes.
Ms. Jordan.
Yes.
And Ms. Simmons.
Yes.
And Mr. Oates.
No.
And Mr. Ranker.
No.
And Ms. Mackey.
Yes.
And Ms. Mitchell.
Yes.
So with a vote of 5 to 3, the motion passes. So this this item has been removed from tonight's agenda, and it will be coming back on February 3rd meeting. Is there any other amendment?
So, Mr. Mayor, do we make a motion to amend the agenda? Move the agenda
As
as amended.
Second.
Any,
Make the amendment? Yeah.
you want to make another amendment?
Well, amend to switch it to a work session to this evening from.
Okay,
last
hold
night.
on. So we need to withdraw that motion first.
Withdrawn.
Okay, now we can move the amendment.
So I'll move to move action item 25013.
I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to make that motion to move it to work session because it's already been removed.
Point of information. While we can't move the action item from the agenda, we could introduce a new work session item to talk about the early lease ordinance. Would that be considered as part of the public record on the early lease ordinance? Or could we later decide to incorporate it as part of the public record?
I think, it wouldn't be needed. Yeah, you could do that, yes.
Okay.
Certainly. So we can entertain a motion to add a work session on the early lease ordinance.
So moved.
Any
Second.
All right, I think it will pass, hopefully. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? So it looks like it's, unless you want me to call, roll call. No. Roll call, okay. Councilor Hernandez.
Aye.
Mr. Hugh.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan.
Aye.
Ms. Simmons.
Aye.
Mr. Oates.
Yes.
Mr. Ranker.
Yes.
Miss
No.
Mackey. Ms.
No.
Mitchell. So it has passed 6-2. So this work session has been added to the agenda as an amendment. Any other amendments before we take the final vote as amended to the main items, main agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion as amended.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? So the agenda has been approved. We have a slot for work session, which is number 14. Suspend the rule and move it before, Mr. Oates? Meaning, discuss it early on before the action items. That's what I'm asking.
Mr. Mayor, since we have an audience here, they should know that they can't comment during a work session discussion.
Correct. That is correct, unfortunately. But the records will be open until February 3rd meeting.
I believe, though, they can comment on a non-agenda item, which this now is. So they would be able to comment on a non-agenda
So
item.
if you are here to speak on, that's an excellent point, and I'm glad you mentioned it. If you are here to speak on the early ordinance item, because this is now a work session, you should be
Mayor,
able.
it is a work session. We moved it to a work session, not a non-agenda item.
Yeah, so I'm talking about during number 9, public comments on consent agenda and non-agenda items. At that time, they should be able to speak. Correct?
But it is an agenda item.
She's saying that it's
We just added it to the
agenda as the work session.
They would need to comment at the end of the meeting. That's the only time that they can comment. So they're going to have to stay in this very efficient meeting that will probably end at 12:30.
Can we overrule that? And can we allow them to speak without any objection? I ask our parliamentarian, Ms. Anderson. We cannot?
No.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. All right, so there is no need to suspend the rule. Yeah, that will be a long night, unfortunately. All right, I believe, yes, we have the agenda approved. Okay. So now is the time to have comments, public comments on consent agenda and non-agenda items. Please come forward. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and if you're a resident, and proceed with testimony.
My name is Yona Gross. I'm not here to comment on the ELO, and I just want to make that clear. I'm not commenting on the OEV's ordinance. Would it be permissible to comment on what happened to the agenda, not the OEV's ordinance, but the changing of the agenda? Or was that considered?
I believe so, Mr. Parliamentarian. That should be fine. You're talking about the procedure.
Yeah, I'm commenting on the procedure. Just the procedure to move something that we've been working on all semester to winter break. After winter break, is really disrespectful to us. We all come out here. This is the second time we have a huge student population coming out here, trying to do something. And I've said this before, and I may have said this before. If you don't like what we have to do, vote no. And I'll disagree with you, but I'll disagree with you and I'll feel respected. If you like what we have to do, vote yes, and I'll appreciate it. But please don't keep kicking it down the road when we just want our voices to be heard. It's really disrespectful. It makes us feel like it feeds into the notion that students are not the priority of this council. And I don't appreciate it. I'm willing to bet, I won't speak on any other people, but I'm willing to assume that a lot of people here don't appreciate it. And if you're going to do something, do it. Don't postpone it, delay it, make it go through commission. The city council has known about this. I've been working on this for months now. And I would appreciate just respect and the ability to come to a city council meeting that we've been anticipating and know what's going to be on the city council meeting. Thank you. My name is Yona Gross. I'm a District 3 resident.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Next. Mr. Catlin, please, for the record, state your name.
Thank you, Mayor Kabir and members of the City Council. Bob Catlin, College Park resident since the late 80s. I'm also currently the president of the Berwyn District Civic Association. I'm here for a couple items tonight, and I think I'll take this chance to give you a very brief part one of a history of College Park student apartments. The first major student apartment built in College Park was called the Berkeley. It's now called Parkside in Lakeland. It was built as part of the urban renewal development, and that was 1985. The next student apartments that got built was really a public-private partnership. It was the Courtyards Apartments on the north side of University Boulevard. It was about 800 beds. That opened in '98. Then we had the South Campus Commons. It's a 7-building complex. The first building was opened in 1999. The last building was opened there, I think, in 1997. What really got the city going was in about 2002, the county rezoned the Route 1 corridor to allow housing. And that meant that in 2005, we got the 17-story University View building. I will leave the rest of the student apartments to another night, but we actually went really 20 years from the time we had our first major student apartment, private student apartment built till we had the second one built. And obviously in the last 20 years, we've had probably about 15 built. So things have picked up the pace. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Mani, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Druvek Marani. I'm a resident of College Park. I do also just want to speak very briefly about the process that the Council just followed in removing an item on this evening's agenda. And I want to recall that during my time as student liaison to this Council, almost every member expressed a recurring sentiment to me that the greatest challenge that this Council faces is engaging the student population and encouraging them to feel comfortable and candid in sharing their perspectives with you all. And I think that in many cases, actions like taking an item off an agenda when there are many students here who took time out of their calendars to be here and to testify breeds that kind of distrust that we often try to prevent in the first place. Another point I want to touch on is that when we were working on that rent subsidy pilot program almost 2 years ago, we found that we often hold programs to a much higher standard for process and procedure when they are focused on supporting our most vulnerable residents here in College Park. When we want to protect tenants instead of homeowners, we care a lot more about process all of a sudden. When we want to talk about students instead of seniors, we care a lot more about process all of a sudden. So I want this council to take that under advisement and also note that I don't think it is best practice moving forward for these issues with agenda items to come up only the night before or the day of a council meeting. So in the future, I would encourage every council member, member of the city staff, any member of the public who wants to share their engagement with the council to make as timely of an effort as possible so that these items are able to be dealt with deliberately and thoughtfully. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Please come forward. I see a couple of others. Please state your name and if you're a resident for the record.
Yes, my name is Sami Saeed. I'm a resident in Old Town. I just want to reflect on the previous comments by students. Right now I'm studying for final exams. I'm taking a big chunk out of my night to be here today. I'm taking this time because I thought that something important was at least going to be talked about, at least discussed, something that affects me deeply because, you know, as we know, paying rent is not an easy task. It's a lot of money, especially in Old Town. So when you have students sitting here taking time out of their nights time and time again, because this is not the first time that we came here. This is the second time because it was already tabled. And then we come with testimonies ready. And then we get a vote now that we're going to kick that off the agenda. What does that mean to us? What does that seem like to us? That you guys care about the people in this community? It does not seem that way. I am sure that you guys are deeply motivated to improving College Park as a city. But when things like this are done, it does not seem that way whatsoever. We will be back. We will keep coming back. You can keep pushing this agenda item off and off and off and off, and guess what? Students are going to be back every single time to tell you exactly what the reality is. So if you're going to keep thinking that, oh yeah, we're going to kick this can down the road, we're going to hear input from X, Y, Z, and then that's going to help us decide, the fact of the matter is the underlying issue does not change. And you all know that. So I would say, of course, it's not everyone who made that vote that we all just saw here tonight, but I will say, make the decision. Vote. We are here right now. We are taking times of our nights. It's very difficult for us. Just because we're students, you can't just blow us off. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate that. Who else is next? Mr. Biffle. Please come forward. State your name for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Richard Biffle. I'm a non-resident taxpayer. Ordinance 25-0-13 died at the end of the last council term. If you want a similar ordinance, you need to introduce it, second it, give at least 7 days notice of a public hearing, hear the public.
Is this out of context?
And then you can consider it.
Please
Mr. Mayor,
focused. Stay focused on non-agenda.
This item is no longer on the agenda.
It is on the agenda because it's a work session, unfortunately. Because the item has been added as a work session item.
I think it's important that the procedure of adopting a resolution be followed. The charter says that the council has to introduce an ordinance. It has to be seconded. The copies have to be distributed to all the members of the council. Then a hearing has to be scheduled, and there has to be 7 days notice at least to the public before a public hearing is held. And the purpose of the public hearing is not just to let people vent. It's not just therapeutic. It's so that the council that considers the ordinance has heard from the public. And several members of this council have not heard from the public, or maybe they've heard in a casual way. But the charter is very specific in its formal requirements that the council has to hear from the public before it considers the ordinance. And so the change in council means you have to start again with these procedures. You're bypassing and if you can bypass the requirements this time, how far back could you go? Could you consider an ordinance that was dropped 40 years ago? If there was a public hearing 40 years ago, why not? What if the entire council had changed? If all the people on the council had changed in the last election, would you still consider the hearing to have been held? You are not following the charter's requirements, and you need to follow it. It's so simple to follow them. Just introduce another ordinance, have another public hearing so that you've all heard from the public. But if you don't do that, there will be an invalid ordinance on the books, and you're just going to be inviting litigation that will just be expensive to the taxpayers and ultimately unsuccessful, and it's completely unnecessary. Just follow the charter. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Please come forward, state your name, resident.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Alex Lugo. I've been a lifelong resident of College Park, and I represent a group of concerned PG County and Montgomery County residents who are worried about the news that there's a proposed AI data center in Landover, Maryland. We have an open community letter, and we're asking local leaders and organizations to sign on to tell the county council that we all oppose the data center, that we don't want it to go through. And I would like to formally request that the City of College Park signs this letter on our behalf to help sway the council to scrap this project.
Thank you. Please do send an email to me. You already know me.
Yeah.
And we can take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lugo. Anybody else wants to speak on any non-agenda items?
Mr. Mayor, you have people on.
There is one, actually two of them. I think Mr. Hussain raised his hand before. Can you let him in, Mr. Allen? Miss Allen? I don't have that ability, unfortunately. Can some in the back office can do for us? There you go. Thank you. Mr. Hussain, please unmute yourself, state your name and if you're a resident, and proceed with the testimony for the record.
That much highlighted. So, जो मैं सोच रही थी, that's what he would be
Please.
thinking. कि वो पांच बंदों को देना
Please.
मुश्किल है.
Please
तो उसका
unmute.
फिर मैंने यही तो
Can you mute
निकाला
him?
है कि फिर we
Can you mute
so
him,
sheriff.
All right, let's go to Mr. Sprinkle. Can you allow him to speak?
He's in.
Mr.
Hi,
Sprinkle.
thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Gannon Sprinkle. I am a community organizer and tenant union leader in the city of College Park. Represent thousands of tenants here in the city of College Park. And I will speak very briefly about the procedure of tonight's meeting. Unlike the only opposition to this subject, the individual who spoke 2 speakers ago, where he spoke not using procedure, urging the council to follow procedure. I thought that that was just inane, that he was not following proper procedure and urging the council to follow the procedures, set in writing. But I will speak very briefly about what appears to be the landlord lobby emailing mayor and council in the last minutes of this afternoon, and mayor and council siding with the landlord lobby to postpone this and to consider legislation that will gut and kill ordinances that will protect tenants and save your tenants and constituents in all 4 of your districts significant amounts of money. All right, this is not chump change we're talking about here. This is a, in some cases, a significantly life-altering ordinance, and it does come off to your constituents and your residents that you have sided with the landlord lobby instead of dozens of students that have showed up tonight and have showed up in previous meetings and time again are pushed away from the table and told through explicit motions like tonight or in other situations that this mayor and council does not care about them and does not care to even consider what they would have, what they would like to say. or what students and tenants have to say. So I would urge this mayor and council to consider siding with tenants instead of landlords in matters of amendments, in matters of procedure, and all in all, hearing every voice that has fought so hard to get to this table right here. And you are siding with the individuals who have bought their way and extorted their way to this table throughout your community. And so, Mayor Pro Tem, I will see you at the County Council chambers where we both work, and we can talk this out. But you are complicit in this, so I'd like you to sit with that. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is the comment period, and our council rules and procedure tells us not to interact unless we need to clarify something which is not factual, and this is something you said is not factual. I can tell, even though I could not vote, the decision that the council has taken tonight that wasn't influenced by any group or any group of people. And this is not disrespectful. This is not done with a disrespect on any of the student body or any community in College Park. I want to make sure that is correct.
Mr. Mayor, though, can I make a mention to say that you're going to approach someone in our place of work outside of this is completely inappropriate. Like, I understand feelings are high, but that's definitely not something that's appropriate, and I don't think that should be allowed.
Thank you. I know there's a frustration, I understand that, but let's come back as a community, and we care about each other. Thank you.
But we should still protect the elected officials, though.
Certainly. Thank you. I second that. Ms. Mitchell?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I stepped out the room. Did I miss something? That was my name mentioned about something?
Your name was not
okay.
mentioned, but
make sure. My colleague,
the position was mentioned.
my position was mentioned.
Your former position.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez, for stating that. Thank you.
I don't need the apology, sir. I mean, I don't need the thanks. We can't let the residents of our community attack us from the dais, even with words.
Certainly. That is not a good practice, certainly. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. I try to be respectful. Thank you, Councilmember Hernandez, for what you just said. I try to be respectful of everybody, and I hope everybody in turn will be respectful of everyone on this dais. I think it's disingenuous when we sit up here and we don't speak intentionally about civility and respect. I'm somewhat taken back. I guess I'm glad I was not in the room a few minutes ago. I really am glad.
Certainly. Let's go to the next speaker, if there is anyone. All right. Seeing none, let's move to adopt the consent agenda, and we have 5 items. Let me read them out, then I will entertain a motion. The first one is 25G122, which is the approval of an on-call agreement for engineering services to Greenman Darson Inc., GPI, using the hourly and billable rates from Montgomery County, Maryland, contract number 1184500. Second one is 25R13, approval of resolution 25R13, a resolution of the Mayor and Council of the City of College Park adopting the recommendation of the Advisory Planning Commission regarding variance application number CPV-2025-07, located at 4705 Fox Street, to approve a variance from the Prince George's County Zoning Ordinance, Section 27-42029, E2, of a 1-foot side yard setback variance and validation of a previous legal non-conforming side yard setback of non-foot to permit construction of a second-story addition above the existing footprint. Third one is 25G127, approval of the FY26 education and PTO-PTA grants. And number 4 is 25G128, approval of community service grants in the amount of $1,444 for Impact Humanity, Inc., single parent holiday giveaway. And finally, number 5 is 25G132, approval of council internship guidelines. Can I entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? So we will directly go to the action items because the presentation was moved after the action items. And our first action item is 25G131, which is a support to move forward to upgrade and modernize College Park Car Wash, 8616 Baltimore Avenue through a minor amendment to a special exception. This will be taken by our Director of Planning, Ms. Miriam Bader, and Mr. Jonathan Stahl from Cosmic Car Wash. I like the name.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So tonight, we're going to be looking at an application. This is a pre-application. So the applicant is looking to present his proposal and receive comments. And we did it as an action item because if you would like to support this item, then we have it as an action item. But anyhow, just going back with the background. So Dave DeGoff, who is here tonight, is the owner of College Park Car Wash at 8616 Baltimore Avenue. And he's operated this business for over 30 years, and he's preparing to retire. He had previously explored selling the property for student housing, but the site's size and topography make that option unworkable. Cosmic Car Wash is now interested in redeveloping the property with a modern facility. Past code issues at the current 24-hour car wash, example, late-night gatherings and loud music, would be addressed. Moreover, the new car wash would operate 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and there would be a gate to prevent after-hours activities, and 3 to 5 staff per shift to maintain order. The redesigned site layout would also address existing traffic concerns. The new configuration would accommodate up to 25 vehicles queuing towards the rear of the lot, eliminating spillover onto Baltimore Avenue. What I mean about stacking distances, that's the line of vehicles. So right now when you go to the automatic part of it, it's probably about 4 cars that can line up behind each other before they spread out to Baltimore Avenue. But the new design would queue it from the back, and they would have multiple lanes, so you're looking at more like 25 vehicles. So the likelihood of spillover is very, very small. Tonight, the use is permitted by a special exception, and the applicant will be seeking a minor amendment, which the county zoning hearing officer would review before forwarding it to the Planning Commission. Tonight, the owner of Cosmic Car Wash, Jonathan Stahl, will present the concept, and he'll answer questions and address any concerns. And they are seeking the city's support as they move forward. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Stahl, and he has a PowerPoint presentation, so let me just click that. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Bader. Mr. Stahl, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Miriam. As Miriam said, I'm Jonathan Stahl. I'm the president of Cosmic Car Wash. My business partner, Reuven, and I have grown up in the Washington, D.C. area. We've both been excited about car washes since we were young kids, and are very excited to partner together to create Cosmic Car Wash. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you this evening about the future of Cosmic Car Wash in College Park. As Miriam mentioned, 30 years ago, David Dugoff founded College Park Car Wash at 8616 Baltimore Avenue. It's the only car wash in College Park. And since then, he has operated one of the most successful self-service car washes in the country, showing the need for car wash in College Park. David is looking at the next chapter of his life, which is retirement. And over the last few years, he spoke with multiple mixed-use multifamily developers specializing in mixed-use student housing and other housing projects to see if the site would be a good fit for them. Unfortunately, the topography of that site makes it very difficult to achieve the density needed for a project like that, and developers have gone elsewhere, including Gilbane, which is the largest student developer housing in the country. We approached David about modernizing College Car Wash into Cosmic Car Wash, a state-of-the-art, modern express car wash. Given the lack of feasibility of selling to student housing developer and a long history of successful car wash operations at that site, David was willing to engage with us and explore our concept. In an express car wash, if you're unfamiliar, a guest will drive onto our lot, use a pay station, choose the wash of their choice, go through our tunnel, and have the opportunity to use one of the free vacuums on site. If Cosmic Car Wash were to open today, we'd be offering a $9.99 base wash, or just $20 a month for our unlimited plan, giving members of the community an affordable way to maintain what may be their most expensive asset, all in an efficient, environmentally friendly way. People who wash their cars at home typically use over 100 gallons or more of fresh water, according to the International Car Wash Association. College Park Car Wash, as it sits today, uses less and captures the used water. Comparatively, following the modernization of the facility to a Cosmic Car Wash, we'd be using 10 to 15 gallons of fresh water per wash. With driveway car washing, water runs into the sewer system and ultimately into the bay, filled with brake dust, oil, and other waste. At Cosmic Car Wash, we filter our water, we recycle it, and our fresh water runoff, and only use biodegradable soaps. As you can see, I'm not sure if you're able to see the imagery we have. What College Park Car Wash looks like today, and what Cosmic Car Wash would look like tomorrow. What we're looking to do is We have heard certain challenges exist today due to the self-service nature of College Park Car Wash operation that we believe we can mitigate through the conversion to an express wash. Currently, College Park Car Wash is open 24 hours a day, which has led to some noise complaints. We're looking to open only 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. When we are closed, we'll have gates to prevent access to our property. Our reduced hours, combined with entrance gates, will prevent late-night loitering, car repair, and other challenges that reduce noise on the site. College Park Car Wash today has 3 employees. It's a self-service wash. We'll have 3 to 5 employees per shift, adding to the employment base with the opportunity to grow as we scale our business within the area. Lastly, from time to time, cars back up on Route 1 due to the nature of the site layout, and our new site will allow for 25 vehicles to queue, as you can see in this image here, coming on the northern side of the lot, out to the back of the lot, into the car wash, and then out to our vacuums. We do not want to see a valuable service taken away from the members of the 35,000-person College Park community. Outside of College Park Car Wash, there's only a single rollover car wash, which takes 5+ minutes to wash a single car. Removing the primary provider of this service to the community will hurt the most vulnerable residents of the community that rely on the car wash to maintain their vehicle. And for those who can wash their car at home, which isn't necessarily an option for residents of an apartment building, the driveway washers will waste more water and will add more waste to the environment. What we're looking to do requires an administrative change to the special exception that already exists on that property. Without that modification, we could operate College Park Car Wash as it is today in perpetuity, but it's only getting older and more dated. By modernizing it, the community will continue to have a service it relies on in an upgraded manner that is more environmentally friendly, that is better for surrounding businesses, and in turn better for the community as a whole. We hope that we can have your support to seek this approval from Prince George's County to make the changes to the site needed to ensure that we can provide a vital service to the College Park community. Thank you.
Thank you. Fantastic. So I'll open the floor for questions. Can you keep the questions to one bite, meaning let's not come back with multiple questions. Mr. Hill, and who was first? Sorry, Ms. Mayor Pro Tem Mackey.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. This is in my district, so I just want you to know that, although it affects the people that live in District 2, because that's where their homes are. So I was very happy to hear that you're very mindful of environmental issues, that you use soap that's biodegradable, because like you said, everything, it needs to be, we have water right behind and we don't want the runoff from the car wash to go into there. So I was happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that you're going to put gates up, that it's not going to be running 24 hours a day. What I want to know is, are you going to have some kind of security system so that it's monitored, so that just when it's closed, that it can be monitored, and even when it's open?
Yes, we'll have cameras on the property. In a modern car wash, you actually have a number of cameras. We do that both for the safety of our customers, but also for our safety to ensure liability claims.
Right. And I think those were all my questions. You kind of answered my questions in your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hill.
Yes, thank you. Looking over your proposed car wash, it does seem like a very state of the art, what one would desire in such a car wash facility. However, US Route 1 is our main street, and I don't know that it fits in our plan for revitalization of our main street. 30 years ago when it was first approved, we didn't have the tools and the outlook of creating a main street and doing revitalization. At that time, I think we were happy to have any kind of business open up on the spaces that were vacant or blighted at that time. And in today's day and age, I'm not, even as good of a car wash this is, I don't think it's an appropriate place for it. I would prefer to see more appropriate development happening in this space. And Ms. Bader, would you have any comments of other usage, since apparently it's too narrow to be developed into student housing in conjunction with other properties surrounding it?
Correct. It is too narrow. Mr. DeGoff said if he tried to sell it for student apartments, but it will not work because there's topographic concerns on the back of the site. It has a very, very steep slope, and also there's a steep slope on the south side of it. So the site itself is more constrained than if you looked up what its square footage is due to topographic. It has operated as a car wash very successfully, so I think that points to it that it is at the right location. We don't have a car wash. If this was closed down, there wouldn't be anything. All there is outside by a Kia across the street, there's a gas station that has a single car wash. But I think in terms of being equitable to all the residents of College Park, it would make sense to have a car wash in College Park that would serve the residents here. So, and as I said, it's operated very successfully at that location. That shows that is a good location.
Thank you. But there is always better options. That's what you're trying to say. Thank you. Who else? Any other questions? I have a question. When you say express car wash, what do you mean?
Well, in the express car wash model versus a full service model, the customer stays in the car during the tunnel process. Mm-hmm. So you have the opportunity to choose to use the vacuum at the end of the wash or not choose to use the end of the vacuum. So oftentimes you may get your car wash, but you don't want to vacuum the interior every time, where you may go to a car wash that does that. So it provides a more affordable option by giving the customer that option, and we include the vacuums for free if you'd like to use them.
Thank you. And you'll have the same number of bays the current one has? I think they had, what, 4 or 5?
So the current car wash has 8 bays. Since they're single occupancy bays, a car drives in with 6 of those bays. You use basically a power washing gun and soap gun to wash your car, and 2 of them they have a laser wash. That's a machine that does it. Ours becomes a tunnel. So from the graphic, what we've done is we've reoriented the building so that you actually come in from the sides, which bring it up to modern zoning compliance, as opposed to having the bays open from the street view. And so the cars are just on a conveyor belt through that tunnel. And so we actually may be washing, 5 cars at the same time in that tunnel. It takes about 3 minutes for that wash, and then you pull out. There's depending on ultimately the site layout, but we right now have 20 vacuum bays that you would have, where you could pull in, vacuum out your car if you wish, or you can just leave and get on with your day.
Okay, so you'll have 20 bays?
You'll have 20 vacuum bays, correct.
But even though the footprint is smaller than the previous one, how do you...
If they could put the slide back up.
Okay, maybe I did not quite...
If we could put the slide back up there. There you go. Then
so
maybe you can walk them
Yep.
through it.
So if you look at this is the car wash today, shown with what on the outskirts here in the purple is the full size of the building today. What we're actually looking to do is shrink the length of the building and have a 110-foot car wash tunnel. So right now, if you were to look, you would enter each one of these bays coming in from the street. And in our model, you'll actually go around the back. Our pay stations would be back here. You'll come in. You'll go into the tunnel itself, get your car wash. You'll come out. You can either exit the property, or you would go into one of our vacuums, and that's where you would vacuum your car.
Thank you. That really helps. It wasn't quite clear. One thing, and this will be my final comment, I really appreciate your decision to close the business after 8 o'clock, and you will have a gate system. And that is very important because in the past, we had so many complaints from the community that the people that came as a group, and they I think they call exhibition drivers or something. So they through social media, they gather themselves, they communicate themselves, and they gather there, and they do high-speed racing through Route 1 in the middle of the night and waking people up. That has been a nuisance for many years now. So hopefully this gate system will stop that. So thank you. Will there be any monitoring? I know you'll have cameras, but who is going to make sure the gates will be closed? Your staff will be doing it?
So when we close the wash every night, the manager on duty would be responsible for closing the gates prior to leaving that evening.
Make sure it's closed.
Yeah.
After 8 o'clock. All right, Mr. Hernandez.
I don't know if this question's for the applicant or for our staff, but what happens if we don't approve it?
So I think the current owner of the car wash, Dave DeGoff. Yeah, if he could answer that.
My name's Dave DeGoff. I'm not quite sure what the question is.
Sorry, I'll repeat the question. What happens if the city decides not to support?
If I want to choose words carefully.
Take your time.
But if a project like this is not acceptable to the city, which is, of course, is your prerogative, then we would be left in a situation where we've been unable to make a deal with a residential developer of various types. And I know there was an email going around that one of the big developers had an option on us. That wasn't quite the case. Actually, we were under contract with them, and that contract was terminated by them in October of 22. So I've been working on this for a long time. So if we can't make a deal to go multi-story, and we can't make a deal to change the format, then it's going to stay what it is. And I've been given specific instructions by she who must be obeyed. And I hope that's in good taste, that I have to retire. So if I'm not going to run it, somebody else can run it. It's a viable business. Somebody can make a living running it as it is. And so I'm trying to be very careful how I say this, but I don't know of other options for us.
And perhaps you know this better than me because I don't know this industry very much, but will the new format configuration be loud? Because that's one of the biggest things that residents have an issue with is the noise produced by some of these different look, I didn't plan the city out, but the city is built out off of Route 1, and I know that it's commercial businesses up next to residentials. But you've seen this, I'm assuming, in other locations. Is it loud?
Is the operation of an express car wash loud?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
No. And it's a very different model. It's a different business that I don't want to be in. I know what it is. I know what a full service. I've been picking up trash from people for over 60 years.
Right.
Since I was a kid before I could drive. And my father built a 2-bay self-serve car wash on this site in '68, and I worked there. And so I know something about running a self-serve. I don't know anything about running a tunnel. It's a very different operation. It's a very different business.
Sure. Well, I greatly appreciate you all coming before council to have a conversation, deliberative as it may be, in order to get our input. That's appreciative. And, you know, when it comes to the various businesses, you really don't know what the next person's going to do. So we appreciate your commitment to the city, and or at least I do. And I'll speak for myself. And thank you. You have my support.
I'll respect the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for coming this evening. I just want to be clear that this is a special exception that the process that you're going through. So you would, in essence, be going through the Board of Appeals.
Yeah, they go through the zoning hearing examiner.
Okay.
And it might just need a modification because it already has a special exception on it for a car wash.
Okay.
So it's still going to be a car wash. So he has to apply first, but he just chose to come before us first to hear our concerns instead of just going forward with the special, with the zoning hearing examiner. So I thought that was a positive, you know, to hear our concerns. And hopefully, you know, if the city supports that, to make a motion to that effect, that you support him going forward. But yes, this is just the start. He would apply and he would go through that special exception process that's with the zoning hearing examiner.
Okay, thank
Mr.
you.
Mitchell, do you want to move the motion?
Well, first before that, Mr. Mayor, I wanted to see if my District 2 colleagues had any questions because they have had discussions with some of their residents.
Yes, thank you very much for coming today. So we represent District 2 and are very well aware of the history of in the past with the noise complaints, and thankfully most of those have mostly been dealt with, and so we were very interested to find out what whether that was going to be reoccurring, and so we're very pleased about your reduced hours and your gate, and I especially was pleased to see that you had addressed a number of environmental concerns. One question that I had was in terms of the regulations, that obviously those are different than they were 30 years ago. Is there anything that you would need to be doing that wouldn't be grandfathered in, or like updating that you would need to do, that you would make sure that you're adhering to the regulations for environmental runoff and things like that?
Sure. I think, well, first and foremost, the way that we operate, right, where we filter our water and we are, using biodegradable chemicals alone will be an improvement. But as we go through the construction process, we're going to do whatever we're required to do to bring it up. I think, even today there's stormwater management on site where the water doesn't just go directly into the stormwater. There's tanks on the property today. It filters the water before it goes, and if those tanks aren't up to code and we are required to bring them up to code, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions, but I did want to say thank you for considering the city. I'm excited to see your project move forward.
Thank you. Looks like we have support. Mayor Pro Tem Mackey.
I'd like to make the motion.
Good.
I recommend that the City Council supports the applicant going forward with this plan to upgrade and modernize the College Park Car Wash located at 8616 Baltimore Avenue.
Second.
I need to go to the audience for comments. If anyone wants to speak on this item, Mr. Catlin. And if you have joined online, please raise your virtual hand. I will allow you to speak. Just go ahead, state your name for the record.
Thank you, Mayor Kabir. Bob Catlin, currently the president of the Berwyn District Civic Association and a resident of Berwyn when this was a discount gas station. So I remember it quite well. I know the property has been for sale since March, and I know they have talked to student housing developers about it. To some extent, I'm somewhat disappointed that there's not perhaps a better use for it in what we have is more of an urban area now. Certainly, it's positive though that the proposed buyer is going to make significant improvements in the operation of the car wash. So I think we'll have to wait and see what happens. I don't have anything seriously negative to say about the project, other than I'm a little bit disappointed that we can't get something that perhaps is better fitted for the neighborhood. But it is a car wash, and it has the ability to stay a car wash in its current situation. So I won't stand in opposition to redeveloping this as a different type of car wash. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Biffle, let's go forward. State your name, the record.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Richard Biffle. I'm a non-resident taxpayer. And hearing some of the concerns about the type of development brought to mind something I've found reading some old articles recently about the history of College Park. The first plans for urban renewal in the early 1960s were to renew somehow Route 1 because it was becoming so dominated by truck traffic. It was a federal highway for a long time, and then when the BW Parkway was built, the cars tended to go up the parkway, and Route 1 became very much of a truck route. And so that's where we got a lot of truck repair facilities and truck sales, and there was a development that was different from what the city wanted. But I think having a car wash along there is appropriate. It's a long stretch of road, and people need their cars washed, and the customer base that it has shows that it's in demand. And if the owner could find an economically better use for it, I'm sure he would. But I think it's great to have a modern, useful facility there, like the new car wash. So I hope you'll be in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wants to speak on this item? Seeing none, let's come back to the council. Anyone wants to speak before taking the vote? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Any abstention? So the vote is 7-1. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to the second action items tonight, and that is the approval of the 2026 council meeting schedule. Ms. Allen, do you want to take it off?
Sure. Hi, Mayor and Council. I placed in your red folders an updated staff report along with two schedules, Schedule A and a Schedule B. Schedule B had the additional date changes that were suggested that came in over the email. So we have two schedules, still both of them with our 30 meetings per year. We are also suggesting that the second meeting of each month be designated as a work session to allow for presentations and work session agenda items. And what else? I have one more thing I believe we made changes to. from the staff report. So the recommended changes to the meeting format, regular meetings versus work session, is intended to enhance the overall efficiency and meeting flow. Under this approach, presentations would take place during a designated work session, which will allow regular meetings to focus primarily on legislative actions, public hearings, and time-sensitive matters. And that's it. It's up to council on what days they would like to hold their council meetings.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. So thank you for putting the changes in the calendar format. That is, I know, more work for you. And thank you for the council colleagues for your input. I know Councilmember Oates gave some good comments, and Mr. Ranker probably did, and Ms. Mitchell also did something. And I believe the changes are based on the
On
input.
Schedule B, yes.
Okay. And when you say Schedule A and Schedule B,
Schedule B, after a holiday, the meeting has changed to a Wednesday. If a holiday falls on a Monday, the meeting date has changed to a Wednesday.
Yeah, that is Mr. Oates' comments. I saw that. Thank you.
I do have to, staff recommends Schedule A. The reason for that is if we have the meeting on a Wednesday, staff only has a day and a half to get a packet ready.
I see.
And then most likely, for instance, like this past Friday, the packet didn't go out until after 7, which you didn't get your packet. Most of you, I'm not sure how many, didn't receive their packets until Saturday, since parking enforcement leaves at 8 o'clock.
Right.
So that becomes
Thank you. Very good point. Yeah,
a large issue.
Many of these schedules heavily depend on
I
staff's
do have, there
work.
are some on Schedule A that has it on Wednesday.
Okay.
And we're prepared for it. However, it is staff's recommendation
Thank you.
that most
Thank
of them
you.
try to stay on Tuesdays.
So
as much as
let's have
possible.
comments from our colleagues, but look into a Schedule A if you want to make a tweak to a Schedule A, because Schedule A is the preferred option from staff, right? You can read it. Mr. Oates.
Thank you. I was going to make some suggested amendments to Schedule B to align with the schedule that I'd sent. So I'm happy to elaborate those if you want to annotate it. But effectively, I think hearings get, I've heard from staff and from others that Wednesdays after a Monday holiday are not ideal, and so have an alternative to shift them instead to a different day in the month that would not be following the 3-day weekend. So in January, it would move the meeting from the 21st to the 27th. In February, it would move the meeting from, and again, I'm reading off of what is proposed in Schedule B. It would move, in February, the meeting from the 18th to the 24th. In March, it would move the remove the meeting on the 31st and add a work session on the 10th and change the meeting on the 24th into a regular session. In May, it would move the meeting from the 19th to the 26th, where it was originally in Schedule A. In September, it would remove the meeting on the 9th, make the 15th a work session, and make the 22nd a regular meeting. And in October, would remove the meeting on the 14th, change the 20th to a work session, and make the 27th a regular meeting.
Can you, because Schedule A is the preferred option by staff, can you make the similar changes to Schedule A, the changes you are proposing?
And as he's doing that,
Except Tuesday, Wednesday swap.
and I'm wondering, as he's doing that, is there an issue with meeting on Election Day, or that's?
No.
We've done that before.
We've done that before, yes.
And nobody. Okay.
Okay.
I had some other things, but I'm going to let Dan.
Yeah, sure. What do you think? Because the staff is preferring a Schedule A, but we can probably still make the changes you're suggesting in Schedule A. Am I correct?
Sure, I'm happy to elaborate them there if you'd prefer to annotate that. So on Schedule A, it would move the meeting on the 20th to the 27th.
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah. In January, it would move the meeting from the 20th to the 27th, so it effectively just avoids meeting after a 3-day weekend instead of moving it to Wednesday.
If you could go a little slower, because
Sure, yeah.
Ms.
So that's
Allen is taking notes.
January.
You would also move the one on the 14th entirely in January.
It started with January, so the 14th one.
So the difference between A and B and the 13th or the 14th, I think that's for discussion. I don't have, but I think I was fine with the 13th.
The
if we're looking at
13th is the legislative session starts at Maryland Municipal League.
Yeah.
Okay.
And quite a few staff members may attend.
Yeah. Okay. Understood. So my proposal is moving the meeting from the 20th to the 27th in January.
And the reason is?
The reason is to not have a meeting immediately following a 3-day weekend in order to give ample time for council to ask questions of staff.
Is there any comment from staff moving from 20 to 27? Mr. Young.
Typically, we try to leave the last weekend of the month open for council members as well as staff, so that it's usually when trainings are able to occur. It's right. From the administrative side of things for us, it does always give us some kind of certainty as to what week may be available for people to be able to take off, particularly council members. That's usually been an issue.
Kind of tiny break or something. Yeah. Is that still okay?
So, I mean, I'm happy to, instead of just me reading through my notes, have a discussion about what we want to have in terms of, I think what I've heard in doing, having conversations with former council members and others is that it's quite difficult after to kind of have very productive meetings immediately after a 3-day weekend. And so I thought it would be useful to consider how to adjust the schedule in order to make our meetings more
So it's only
productive.
for January you are suggesting to move the 20 to 27?
So, sorry, for January, I'm suggesting the 20th to the 27th. For most other meetings where there is a 3-day weekend, I would, and the Monday is a city holiday, I would propose to move that meeting.
How many instances do we have like that? How many months?
February 17th would be to February 24th. September 8th would be September 22nd.
January, February, September, and these are 3 instances? October. And October.
It's moved to Wednesday at the moment, but October 12th is the city holiday.
Okay, so so in that category there will be 4 changes. Am I correct, Mr. Rhodes? Like for 3-day weekend cases, there are 4 such cases.
Yes.
Therefore, okay, let's just stop there. What does everyone think? Ms. Mitchell? So if there is a 3-day weekend, Mr. Rhodes is suggesting instead of having the following day, which is a Tuesday, have the meeting on Wednesday.
Sorry, that's not my suggestion. It's to move it to a week that there is
following Tuesday.
not, the following Tuesday.
Following week
a
Tuesday.
different Tuesday of the month, yeah.
Sorry, I take it back.
Mr. Mayor, I mean, I can adapt, and we've adapted many times, many years with different
I don't really care.
Yeah, but I just want to make sure that there is a lot of time for staff to do what they need to do. Unbeknownst to us, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes as far as staff reports, putting the reports together, putting the packet together. And if it's not done in a timely fashion, like Ms. Allen said, sometimes the packets are not delivered to council members until Saturday morning, which puts us as a deficit because we can't get to the packet to read it and answer questions. Either way, I will adapt. But the other point I want to make clear is that We do have 4 city meeting. That's the 5th, the 4th weekend of the month every quarter, correct, Ms. Allen?
Correct.
And then for some of us, there are other meetings outside of council meetings that people are a part of, such as MML, NLC, or Councilmember Hugh, who does his share of the public safety. So those other meetings that have to blend into the schedule. So, like I said, we will all adapt and make it work, but that's just what
Anybody else has huge concern about I know staff probably is suggesting not to go this route. Am I correct, Mr. Young?
This is council's prerogative on the schedule. Staff will adapt. I think if we go to a meeting schedule where it is on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday after a holiday, it's just from our standpoint, we would make that a very short agenda so that we could actually get all the work on that agenda out in time. But other than that, I don't see it being a big issue.
Mr. Hernandez.
I think there's a lot of new things happening here, right? What I would suggest is finding some sort of balance in between, preserving burnout, right? Because we get burned out too, right? Like having to read a 600-page packet on a 3-day weekend that we would like to just get away, you're not going to get the most productive Councilmember Hernandez. But what I will say is maybe we can, instead of doing all of the days like immediately into Wednesday, sometimes we have to bear the burden too, right? We signed up for this. So if we could just find a way to share the burden and stress, I think the city manager will find, I've seen it actually, when many of the key stakeholders have to travel for NLC or for whatever reason, we end up getting a 2-item agenda packet, and we still end up staying here till 11. But to that point, like there's a way for both of us to adjust, right? I think that what Councilmember Oates is suggesting is a little bit of a change, and that's good. Change is good. We get to rest a little bit. Maybe we don't lose 3 council members at the same time.
Okay, so you're supporting.
I'm supportive, but let's find a balance for staff and for us, right? So instead of doing I'm talking specifically about the 3-day move to Wednesday. Maybe do half of them. I think there's 6.
4.
All right, so 2 and 2.
Again, it's not to move them to Wednesday; it's to move it to a different Tuesday.
Oh, to move them so we just move them. We move 2 of them, and then we keep 2 of them. That is my suggestion.
I'll say in the Schedule A, we're actually keeping, I guess what was different in the Schedule A that was circulated earlier from the Schedule A that is before us now is the May meeting had been on the 26th. The conference in May for IGTA. Now there's a proposal to have a meeting during that conference. I don't know if city staff can comment on that, but
it's only a few folks that usually attend that anyway, so I don't see that being an issue.
Not more than 1.
Yeah. So
more than 2. Okay. So, Ms. Mitchell. Mr. Hill. Oh, sorry, Mr. Hill.
So I would like to hear from staff, what makes most sense to them as for the Tuesday after a long weekend. Does it make more sense to have it on a Wednesday or make it to the following Tuesday?
Which one is their preference? We'll go with that. That's what Mr. Hill is asking.
Pick your poison, I guess, is what you're asking me. I think we can adapt to either one.
Ms. Allen?
There's very good points on this. Following a holiday, people really aren't as in tune with what was going on in the packet. And so those meetings that follow that tend to be some of our longer meetings because no one's read the packet. And so it makes it very difficult for us to get through an orderly meeting. So that's my concern there. I think I might have heard the proposal a little bit different tonight, that going to the following Tuesday instead of the Wednesday
Following Tuesday.
is what is, I guess, being proposed
Right.
tonight, which is fine too. It's just different than we've done in the past, but there's nothing wrong with some change.
Thank you. Thank you. That looks like you were coming to a consensus. Ms. Mitchell and then Ms. Simmons.
Ms. Allen, just wanted to clarify. The number of meetings are mandated are 30 meetings per year? Ms. Yvette? Mr. Mayor, are you?
30 I think in both the schedule, they're 30. I think.
30.
Yeah.
I'm asking because as last year, we had a discussion about going from 3 to 2. 1 work session, 1 council meeting.
3 meetings in a month. That
No,
was an average.
we had 3. We had discussed going down to 2 meetings a month.
Oh, really?
You required to have 1. Okay. Okay.
Is this
Point
in
of
the
information.
charter?
And then point of information following up on Ms. Mitchell's
question.
There's nothing mandating 30 per se. It's just mandating 12, 1 per month.
Yes.
Great, thanks.
And that's why I was saying we have been struggling, and we've been talking about going down to 2 meetings, a full work session, and then a full business meeting, and then we're done for the rest of the month.
Yeah.
So,
As long as you can stay late. All right. Is it Miss Meg? No, sorry, Mr. Ranker. Miss Holly first. Sorry, Simmons.
Thank you. This is not the concern of the body as a whole, certainly. This is just constraints that I have. I do typically have conflicts on Mondays and Wednesdays. So I know for certain that January 14th, I will not be able to attend that. And incidentally, if the meeting is moved from the 20th to the 27th in January, I would not be able to attend that either. That certainly, those are just my constraints, so I want to voice them now.
All right, Mr. Ranker.
Yep, in general, I support the moving meetings to not follow directly a holiday. So I would go forward with trying to get them off of the Tuesday and make it the following Tuesday.
Okay.
When available.
Ms. Jordan.
I would agree with that for the reason that I just went through my first packet on a Monday, and there were so many emails that I sent to staff and staff sent back to me. And so it would, losing that day before the meeting day would be a concern of mine, not just that we hadn't read the packet, but that there were, we worked very, very closely with staff to get a lot of our questions answered and clarified and things like that, so that they don't have to be done at this instance. And so I would also be in support of not having them act right after.
Thank you. So we have come to a consensus, Ms. Allen. So if there is a 3-day holidays, instead of have the meeting on Wednesday, we'll be moving the meeting following week on Tuesday. Am I getting it correct?
It's not always the following week, or I don't know. In September, it would be moving from the 8th to the 22nd.
Ms. Allen, are you taking notes? I'm sure you are.
So I think basically, if we're looking at Schedule A, there's 4 changes to make. It would be moving January 20th to the 27th, February 17th to the 24th, September 8th to the 22nd, and October 13th to the 27th.
All right.
And you would need to adjust whether it's a regular session or work session along the lines of what council's already recommended.
All right, so we are good with that. Any heart burning? Mr. Young.
I want to make sure I also get clarification on how you want those meetings to occur. Regular work session, the presentation work session meetings. Do you care what order those are in? Does the council have a preference for how that rolls?
I personally do not, as long as it works for you as staff, because you are the one who makes the packet for us. That's the way I'm coming from, unless someone feels otherwise.
Are you asking in moving the meetings?
Not the moving.
Which ones become work sessions versus regular meetings?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think I would say I would leave it to city staff that I think our what your proposal is, which I think folks here agree with, is to have basically the second meeting be the work session. So if we've moved things around, then like you can adjust to say, okay, because you moved the second one to the end of the month, now what was the third one is now the second one, so that's now the work session.
So second meeting will be
sandwich is
the work session presentation session.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. That's the clarification I just needed. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Mr. Ranker, do you have some?
Yep, and just looking at my work schedule, and again, this is totally fine if the council doesn't want to do this, but I know that June 9th I will not have access to be, I will be out of country and not have access that day to be in on that. I would prefer to have it in August sometime, but understand.
June 9th.
Move the June 9th to either August 18 or 15, 25 or 18.
Those are summer months, so people want to take long vacations. That is the reason we have left it open.
I'd like to say I'm also going to be out of the country on March 3rd, so I'll have to miss that meeting. So I don't think that I'll have internet access. I don't think so.
Okay. Mr. Orso, what is your second batch of changes?
I think in re-reviewing Schedule A, that would what we've just discussed, those 4 changes would be my only changes. I think my confusion is that the Schedule A was amended from the Schedule A that was distributed in the packet.
Right.
So some of the changes, the tweaks have already been made. So my apologies for starting with Schedule B. Thank you for bringing us.
Not a problem. Yeah. Thank you. Who is next? Any other changes? I know, Mr. Ranker, you suggested some changes.
No, I'm ready to move.
Hold on. Ms. Mitchell, I think I saw your email. You suggested a change, didn't you?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, but Ms. Allen already took care of it. She already switched the meeting of January 13th to the 14th, so we all can attend the legislative reception in Annapolis.
Good. From a staff side, do you need any other direction before we take it for the vote? Okay, thank you. Who is going to move? Mr. Ranker.
I move to adopt the 2026 Mayor and Council meeting Schedule A as amended.
Second.
Any further comment, Mr. Ranker? Yes. Everyone is happy. By rule, I need to go to the audience for input or comments. If you want to talk about our schedule, please come forward and talk about it. You have 3 full minutes. Anyone online? I don't see any. Let's come back to the council. Anyone who wants to speak on this item before we take the vote? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Our schedule has been adopted. Oh, I've done something. All right. I believe this is the third action item, the final action items, which is Council of Government appointment. And this will be again taken by Ms. Allen. Thank you for the list of all the committees and their charges, what they do, and how often they meet.
I tried to get the meeting dates for you today. However, no response from the Council of Governments. I even tried to make a phone call. She put me in a voicemail, and no response from them to get the meeting dates for them.
Okay.
For which date the committees meet. So.
All right. Ms. Allen, do you want to kick it off?
I'm in the wrong one. Excuse me. Yes. We have our annual COG appointments. The appointments expired end of this month, and COG allows us to appoint a member and an alternate name for each of their committees. We do have current council here that are on several committees who may wish to remain on that committee. However, if a new council member would like to explore, maybe you can go on as an alternative. each, there's, in your packet, there was a description of the policy board and the policy committees. So it's up to mayor and council to decide on who would like to participate on these committees.
Certainly. So there are some vacancies created by our former council members.
Correct.
For example, former Councilmember Rigg used to be a member of the Region Forward Coalition. And I believe, Mr. Ranker, you are interested in Region Forward Coalition? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to make some recommendations here. I'm interested in the Region Forward. Councilmember Oates for the alternate for climate, energy, and environmental policy. Councilmember Jordan, it's not on the page 112, but it is on page 114 as the National Capital Region Emergency Preparedness Council. Is that?
Yes, that
Yeah.
was new. That was newly added last year.
And Councilmember Simmons for transportation alternate?
And who was for the transportation alternate?
TPB.
Transportation Planning Board.
Which member? Simmons, thank you.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
They meet
And obviously that I didn't, I didn't talk to folks who are already, I didn't talk to the returners, so I'm not making assumptions that everybody wants to stay on what they're already doing.
So, Mr. Hernandez, you are still okay with alternate at the air quality?
Unless anyone is so eager to assume the position. I mean, like I'm happy to relinquish that charge.
No, we need it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, if anybody has the extra time.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Hill, you love committees. You're everywhere.
Yes, I'm fine with my current positions as a member of the Washington Metropolitan Washington Air Quality Committee. I am the current chair for the state, and on the climate, I'm fine with being the main member on the Climate, Energy, and Environmental Policy Committee, as I have been already.
Good. So you're adding yourself to, no, you're staying where you are. You're not adding anything. Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, we have no one to serve for the Human Services Policy Committee.
Oh, Miss Esther's and Mr. Rigg. Yeah, we need someone.
For which one?
Human Services Policy Committee. Both of our former council members used to be there. In the middle, Human Services Policy. At least we need one member. Miss Jordan, I'm looking at you, calling your name. Putting you on the spot. Sorry.
That would put me as two main.
You can have more than one. You can do that. Okay. No, she said no. No, I'm not pushing.
I'll do it. This, it's not an area of expertise in any way, but I guess I'll just learn.
I'll be your alternate.
Okay, and Chesapeake Bay you're still on Chesapeake Bay, right?
Right.
Okay, and we don't have the alternate because Miss Whitney.
I can take that, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Thank you.
And would somebody take, if no one will take the alternate for Councilmember Mitchell I'm sorry, I apologize. If no one will take the alternate for Councilmember Mitchell for food and agriculture, is there someone who wants to take that one?
And I'll just add that we have a national capital, the region. Yeah, it's not letting me. We still have an alternate for the National Capital Region Emergency Preparedness Council too. So I think those are the two left over, if I'm not mistaken.
But thankfully
Councilmember
we
Jordan.
have at least one member, the primary.
Mr. Mayor, we can add later on. We can send alternates later on.
Yes.
Miss Allen, you have all the names?
Yes, I do.
Oh, good. So I can entertain a motion right now.
Second.
I need to go to the audience.
Do we have, so who's doing the emergency preparedness? You are.
Ms. Jordan.
Okay. As the member or alternate? No alternate.
You want to go as an alternate?
I'll be willing to be an alternate on that.
Okay. Yes. So Ms. Mitchell, your motion now includes some amendment. Say that you are okay with that. Okay. Let's go to the audience. Seeing none, let's come back to the council. Anyone wants to comment? I don't think anyone. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed and abstention? All of our action items are done, thankfully. All right, now we go to the work session. Am I correct? Oh, work session will be very last? Yeah. I thought it will be after.
I changed it to after the action items.
Yeah. Who is going to kick it off? Ms. Bader?
Yes, the students have been waiting very, very patiently. So each year the planning department works with the university and participates in their Partnership for Action Learning and Sustainability program, also called the PALS program. So this semester we worked with housing policy students, and they decided to look at the city of College Park and look in terms of neighborhood stabilization. So tonight they're going to do a presentation called Housing Policy Best Practices Balancing Student Rentals and Owner Occupancy. So it's my privilege to introduce the students that worked on this.
Thank you. Welcome.
Let me see here. Okay. And I think you just click it.
Thank you, Ms. Miriam. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council members. My name is Francis. This is Ashna and Nicholas, and we are the students who worked on this presentation on the housing policy best practices, balancing student rentals, and owner occupancy final presentation. On the agenda tonight, we're going to discuss the issue of students moving into College Park neighborhoods, discuss our literature review, our data, and our findings, and finally conclude with some policy recommendations that we believe that the city of College Park should adopt. Starting with our problem, student rental properties have increased dramatically in historically owner-occupied communities in College Park, which has led to unaffordable housing as well as disruptive neighborhoods and many noise complaints as well as overcrowding. These has created tension between students and long-term residents over shifting community norms. A couple problem elements we wish to highlight is the encroaching student population, which has increased density in neighborhoods and created a lot of overcrowding problems. As you can see on the image at the top, you'll notice that there are several cars, all of which belong to students living in a single-family home, which has created a massive issue when it comes to road space in neighborhoods. There's also been an issue of neighborhood degradation, with many students and party houses creating a lot of trash, as well as general noise complaints within neighborhoods. So we started with reviewing literature currently on this topic, focusing on case studies in other communities that are facing similar problems. Looking at College Park specifically, we've noticed that there's been a change in demographics. The university campus can only accommodate about 20% of its current 30,000 student population for undergrads, leaving nearly 24,000 students to find housing off campus, which is altering the supply and demand nature of the College Park real estate market. This has led to increased studentification in historically owner-occupied neighborhoods such as Old Town, Berwyn, Calvert Heights, Lakeland, and so on. This means that there have been many students moving into these areas and changing the basic demographics of these neighborhoods. In our literature review, we've focused on several case studies and found that many policies have been implemented, from increased code enforcement to more restrictive renting policies, but we found that the most successful communities have used deep university and city cooperation to create a solution that works for both students and balances affordable housing for the student population, as well as enforcing code and city codes. So for our data collection, we decided to dig a little deeper into College Park's specific situation. We conducted a site visit with the planning committee. We researched current housing market trends in College Park, and we also conducted a demographic review of the past 3 censuses to review student population trends. And again, we focused on Old Town, Lakeland, and Berwyn Heights for our specific points of interest. We found that there's been a steady increase in the student population over the past 2 decades, which has led to a rise in housing costs. The rent itself has increased about $1,000 over 20 years between 2000 and 2020, and the rent is only increasing. We have also seen that this has led to an affordable housing crisis in the city of College Park, with the housing to income ratio jumping to 4 in 2020 and the rent to income ratio jumping to almost 25% in 2020 as well. Finally, with our site visit, we noticed that there have been several code violations that are very common to students, especially concerning satellite fraternity houses. These are what many of you probably know as student party houses, where they will set up parties and essentially create a lot of noise and trash, which is not only an annoyance, but a detriment to the very neighborhoods that they are in. And again, this does destabilize the housing market, which has an impact on the city of College Park economy, making it less desirable for any long-term residents to move to College Park. So our policy recommendations are that the City of College Park work with the university to revise on-campus alcohol policy to allow alcohol-related events back in on-campus facilities, so that way these satellite party houses can be discouraged and parties will be moved back into on-campus Greek houses. We next wish to ask the City of College Park to expand their knock-on-door program and empower city code enforcement to continue reaching out to students who live off campus and engage with them so they can foster more personal relationships that will help code enforcement better involve themselves and prevent any code violations. Finally, we ask that the City of College Park increase their rent pilot program that helps subsidize student rent and will help alleviate the stress of affordable housing on students, so that way they can seek actual options such as apartments and student-focused housing rather than flocking to the cheaper housing that comes from renting a room in a single-family home. Thank you again for your time, esteemed council members. We will now be taking questions.
Thank you. I will open the floor, but I have a quick question. I'm sure you have done it, and Ms. Bader, you have done a fantastic job supporting them. Hey, I know we have the Affordable Housing Task Force, and this report, this research will be extremely helpful for them. So thank you for spending so much time and bringing this data and
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Hill?
Yeah, I'm looking at your report, and when it comes back to your recommended policies, what role do you think the university has in this issue?
I think the university has a role to enforce their student code of conduct, especially on students while they live off campus, and also they play a role working with code enforcement to not only impose legal consequences for city code violations, but also academic ones if they also violate student code of conduct.
So you realize that the university is consistently increasing their enrollment every year, although we are reaching or have reached capacity of the student housing, the high-rises. What role, again, does the university play as being responsible, in our problem in our community? There is a mandatory on-campus orientation all new students and incoming students must take. However, the university well knows that after 2 years living on campus, the students are expected to live off campus. They're expected to live in our community. And they have not taken a responsibility in preparing those students who live off campus. There's no orientation as to what it is to be a good terrapin in College Park. There's no orientation of the policies that the city has to be a respectful neighbor and a good terrapin. there's no responsibility for parking in our community. Their students are not allowed to bring their cars on campus their freshman and sophomore years. They're not given permits. However, their sophomore, junior years, when they have to move off campus and expected to live in a community, they're allowed to bring their cars. And there's no place in our community to accommodate all that. So I think that the university needs to be an equal partner in the situations that they're putting on our community. And take that into consideration for your report.
Do you want to comment on that, or it's just?
Yes. So with the issue of the orientation for Terrapins to be good neighbors in our communities, that is what the Knock on Door program is. We spoke with one of the senior code enforcement officers, and he told us that their Knock on Door program notified students that he met with of what city code was, several like community specific habits such as like trash procedures and trash pickup days, and really teaching them how to like be a good neighbor and be a positive member in the community. So expanding that program would essentially serve as a second orientation, if you will, to the community and how to be a proper community member. In terms of parking, I do believe that it is also the university's responsibility to expand on-campus parking so that way students can maybe perhaps leave their cars there overnight instead of just having to take them off during the day, so then the streets wouldn't be as crowded in neighborhoods.
Yes. As for trying to recall what it was that so the knock and talks. Council is no longer as involved in that. And I was involved in that when I last served on council, and it was a new premise. That program, as much of an effort as it is not fully effective. We do not find every student living off campus to have that discussion with them. Nor do we find, sometimes you might find just one roommate to come to the door. And that effort's not relayed to the whole household. So this knock and talk efforts, I think, is cute. I think it's a nice effort. It's the beginning. But I think the university needs to take a serious, dedicated role in training all students who will have to move into our community when they're pushed off campus to take up a big part of that, because these are their students coming into our community without any heads up of first time living away from home and out of the dorm without being prepared to what it is to be a good renter, be a good neighbor, and just a representative of a good Terp. So please take it back to the university. I've been asking for off-campus orientation for over 10 years now.
Thank you. Is it possible to amend your report to add or make tweaks?
Yes, we can amend our final report.
So that's possibly could include that. Thank you, Mr. Hill. Mr. Hernandez.
First off, thank you, for coming up before council and your patience and your hard work on this presentation. It looks like you all considered a number of different creative ideas and options to help inform council. As you guys know, the university is a monster of an organization with many, many layers of bureaucracy. So as you continue to shop around the research that you guys have done, please take this as just one data point, right? And try, like sometimes implementing the project recommendations that you all provide is through one or two conversations. But also you have your student liaisons here who are your voice and representatives here on council that will then thread some of those recommendations in the discussions that we have with them, or just across the various amounts of topics that we have every Tuesday, or I guess Wednesday and Monday now, nights. It's just good to just continue to inform and push it out. I know my colleague, Councilmember Hugh, is very passionate about making sure that the burden is shared, and it's because many of the residents that we hear from, right, which are usually the long-term single-family homeowners, residents, and some from different apartments, are calling us. So you see that perspective, like voiced in some of the frustrations. But just one data point, right? So you're running up a mountain, you're trying to change the world. The way to do that is making sure that you get as many stakeholders as you possibly can. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hugh, or Mr. Hernandez, and thank you for your comments as well, Mr. Hugh.
Appreciate that. I see some. Please forgive me. Who was the first? Ms. Mitchell, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your report. I appreciate it. I just wanted to add, Councilman Hugh and I served when we did the knock and talks back in 2013 to 2015 and 2017, which really made a turnaround in regards to engagement of off-campus housing. Just wanted to also just give you another suggestion. There is a quality of life report that was formalized that had many different components about off-campus housing and recommendations. So you may want to also look at that as some tools for you to as you garner. But it was a very good and well-written report. Thank you.
We will. Thank you, Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you. Who is that, Mr. Ranker? And
I want to echo thanks. A lot of thanks for bringing this before us, and then to take it offline. I love learning about other places that are doing things well, and I know you touched on several pieces and you had case studies. So I would love to again take it offline. You can email me to share just some of those places and things that you see are being done well in other cities or towns that you think are worth emulating or discussing. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Ranker.
Thank you. Ms. Mayor Pro Tem Mackey.
Yes, thank you for your report. I was wondering, how are you going to engage with the university about your suggestions? Like, are you going to write them? Are you going to get your student liaisons? What are you going to do?
So we haven't necessarily discussed how to engage with the university yet. My plan was, we've already spoken to the university's Department of Student Affairs about their alcohol policy. We do plan to engage with the student liaisons to figure out how to get the university more involved in these actions.
Thank you. Who else? Seeing none. Our student liaison, do you have any comments? Mr. DeSpirito? Sorry to put it on the spot.
No worries. Thanks again for this presentation and the work that you guys are doing here. Certainly always feel free to reach out. That's part of our job and everything. We're always here to listen and to work with you on initiatives. So if you want to work with us on this particular initiative, we're happy to hear it out. So
we will. Thank you.
Looks like you're a good family, happy family.
Yeah. I just want to echo what Nick was saying. I know you guys have a lot of logistics that you haven't worked out yet, especially with working with the university. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely talk to us.
Thank you. Thank you for offering help. Any final thoughts?
No, thank you again for your time, council members and Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all the good work. From staff, Ms. Bader, is there anything from the council side we need to be aware of from this report? I know one thing we'll be doing, sharing this data with the Affordable Housing Task Force. But,
yes,
okay.
Yes, we will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now is the time to go to the work session that was added in the beginning of the meeting, and that was about the early lease ordinance. And I would ask our attorney, Ms. Anderson, who helped draft the language of this legislation, to talk mainly about the changes. And you did a lot of work, and thank you for being in touch with our stakeholders, our student community, our property owners community, our the community that deals with the high-rise apartments. And thank you for spending time and talking to them, and it looks like we are at a good spot in coming to a consensus. And we still may need to make little tweaks, and that's the reason the council decided to move the voting date to early February. But if you could please talk to us about the amendments that you helped bring together in the packet in the latest draft, that would be helpful.
Thank you, Mayor. Be happy to. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As a result of the public hearing that we had, I did have conversations with some of the landlord stakeholders as well as our student liaison. And as a result of that conversation, I made some changes based on some of the concerns that they had. I guess the largest concern was the good cause non-renewal. There was discussions that there could be. Oh, okay. There were discussions that that provided possible legal challenges, and without concurring that I was in total agreement, I looked at the big picture in terms of not tying the proposed ordinance up in litigation. And so after discussions, and I did read, there were some legal memoranda that was presented to me, and also based on actions in the Maryland General Assembly when there were other jurisdictions that went to the state for express authority. I thought it best that if we wanted to move forward with this policy objective, that I delete that reference out of the ordinance. So that was done. And I started at the back because that's an easy description of the edits, because it was just a complete deletion of those provisions. And then that helps explain, if we go to the beginning of the ordinance, that anything that referenced sort of like a good cause concept, I deleted it out. If you have the ordinance in front of you, so we're back on now page 98, section 1. So that section A was deleted out and renumbered. Then if you look at section 2, I reorganized and I put up front the requirement about the 180 days from the start of the current lease in terms of when a landlord could approach a tenant regarding renewal. And that section also dealt with an offer, acceptance, and then it had a requirement of when the offer could be made, the timelines of when the tenant would have to respond, and then that was the offer. And then there was language about then a lease going out and when the tenant had to sign the lease and when the landlord had to sign the lease. One of the concerns that was brought to me was that added additional time, and there was a discussion about trying to condense everything into the 180 days. My concern was I didn't want to take out what I thought was good policy for tenants in terms of an offer, so that they could see exactly what was going to be changed in the upcoming lease without reading a document. So I wanted to keep the offer language in, but I did think about some concerns about then the added time of then the tenant signing a lease. So they had to sign an offer, then they had to sign a lease. And in my opinion, I thought there could be like tenant confusion, because people are moving fast and they think they've already signed an offer and then they now have to sign a lease. So what I did is I revised the section so that when the offer was made, they also sent out the lease where the changes would be in the lease. So the offer would have what had been changed from the current lease, and then the lease would then reflect those changes, and then the tenant could just sign the lease. In that same section, because initially there was, I think, 30 days to sign, to review the offer, and then the lease had to come out, and it was expanding the process. I deleted that and made it 15 days to respond instead of the 30. And instead of the offer, you would just sign the lease within 15 days of receipt of that lease. And so that was my suggestion in terms of making it sort of a reasonable amount of time so that the process could be condensed and save some time based on some of the discussions I had with the stakeholders. The next section, so that's 2.
Can you tell us the page number maybe for the council?
Yes, page 99, because we were talking section 2, and now we're on section 3, where we talked about when the lease had to be signed and how it had to be returned and when it had to be returned within that 15 days. And then in section 3B, yeah, that's the same section. So we go down to C, and I deleted all that, as I explained before, the offer acceptance, lease acceptance, and just made everything happen within that 15 days. So we're still in section 3, and you see the deletions. Section 4, page 99, it's deleted because that's the landlord's non-renewal of lease. So all of that came out. And then on page 100, it's a new paragraph 5 because the other sections have been renumbered. It was a discussion about waiver, and that section was amended based on my conversations with the student liaisons, because as originally drafted, there was the parties could not waive any provisions of the section. And after the public hearing, we heard some concerns, and it was expressed to me that maybe there should be a time when the tenants may want to have some relief or work out some type of other negotiation with the landlord. And so my concern was that I wanted it to be tenant-driven, and I wanted to have written documentation of the waiver request and written documentation of receipt of that waiver in case there was any type of dispute later on in the process. So that section 5 was revised accordingly. And then section 6, enforcement of remedies. We had just completed increasing some of our fines based on an update in state law that went into effect on October 1. And so the first the first draft as introduced of this ordinance, it had $1,000, which was the old maximum amount that a municipality could charge, and recent state law allows us to go up to $5,000. So based on other revisions to our code, I added $2,500 for additional or subsequent offenses. And then I added the equivalent of 2 months' rent to sort of sometimes give a court some guidance in what they could, in their discretion, award for any kind of damages under this section. And I think that sometimes that's helpful because courts look to those that have more expertise in the area, and in terms of making sure that this ordinance had some teeth, and not that you could just pay a fine and continue on with procedures that we're trying to address and correct and prevent. I increased that section. And the deletion had to do with the relocation assistance, which was tied more to the good cause provisions. And those are the changes that were made.
Thank you so much. A lot of work. Appreciate that. I'm sure there's some questions, so let's start. Mayor Pro Tem Mackey.
Yes, thank you. I want to thank you for your attention to detail and interacting with the stakeholders of the student liaisons and all of the stakeholders on this. And I so much appreciate the fact that you look to make an ordinance that is flawless, and you worked so hard and diligently on that. As we have 3 new council members, some of them had some very valid questions, and you did not have the time to answer those questions to your full feeling comfortable in giving us answers. So that was the reason for us putting this off, putting the vote off. There was no intention to be disrespectful to the students in any way, because, as you know, the lawyer has been speaking to the student liaisons. And you made a lot of changes, and honestly, to tell you the truth, that they were very hard to digest for some of us who are not experts in this, and so we rely on our lawyer for advice, and I appreciate her so much for the way that she did help me to understand more. One of the questions that I had was, did you have any, like when you picked the 15 days for the renewal clause, what was the reasoning again behind that? You said that you felt like that was trying to help them not to have like 2 things that they were like signing or something. If you could explain that a little more to me, because I'm not getting it. Thank you.
Oh, that's no problem. I think it was, and I know when this occurred, it was in response to discussions to try to condense the time period for responding to the new renewal offer. And so originally you had 30 days to renew the offer, and then you let the landlord know, and then you had additional time to sign the lease, and then you let the landlord know. So there was a proposal on the table to eliminate that completely in our discussions with with the stakeholder, and I didn't feel comfortable with that total elimination. And so I think we were like 10 days, and then it was like, no, I was like 10 business days, and then it was like, okay, and then it's 14, and then I picked 15. So there's no magic rationale. It's just that initially they had 30, and then another, can I look at the language that's there? It started out that they had something to the, let me get back, because I want to look at the language, if it's still in existence. It might be hard to follow, but there was like an additional 40 days before a lease had to be returned. And that was a little troublesome to some of the stakeholders in the process. Mm-hmm. So we just tried to shorten it by eliminating the offer time period and then saying return the lease in 15 days. That time could be expanded. I know that Council Member Simmons had wanted to eliminate that, and I'm not saying that there is a legal problem. It was just looking at some of the suggestions in light of how I had made these current amendments before you, so that I could make sure that, because I have worked in Annapolis, and you're doing bills and you're splicing and you work fast, and you realize that that little amendment, when you go back, it kind of changed another part of the legislation. I'm not saying that would occur here, but I wanted to have enough time to digest in the total scheme of how I had approached some of my amendments. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer.
Thank you. We'll go next. Ms. Simmons, sorry to put you on the spot. Do you have any comments? I know you have been studying quite a bit, and thank you as a new members of the council. You did a fantastic job in studying it. What's your point of view?
Sure. I am happy to go over the information that I included in the email that I sent out earlier today. Before I do that, I would like to say thank you to all of the staff members who worked on the legislation, as well as our student liaisons, who I know have put a ton of effort in. a ton of effort into
Come closer to the mic.
quite a lot of effort into getting this ordinance to where it is, also to all of the students who I know have left at this point, but I do really,
Just come closer.
I do appreciate showing up and being prepared to testify this evening. So, in reviewing the draft legislation, I did have some concerns. We did receive this late in the evening on Friday, so I worked over the weekend to really wrap my mind around the history of what had happened with this proposed ordinance, going back and watching the September, October, November meetings, including the public hearing, speaking with colleagues, researching what's going on at the state level, and ultimately trying to figure out what were the real sticking points for me in the draft. They came down to the 15-day renewal clause and also the fact that the timeline that is outlined for the date at which landlords or their agents could begin reaching out to students about, or any renters about renewing their lease being based on the start date of the lease as opposed to the end date. For a little bit of background on me, I know that I said this many times over the last few months, but I did rent in College Park for 6 years leading up to the point at which I had the opportunity to buy in College Park. And even thinking about the way that my lease renewed that year that I did decide to purchase my home, I thought about this legislation in the context of that timeline and how I was able to transition from a renter to a homeowner and able to stay in this community. I could say much more about that. It's all anecdotal. I don't know that I need to get into it right this moment. But when it comes to the 15-day renewal clause, if we're thinking about a lease that begins in mid-August, you would hit your 180 days from the beginning of that lease in February. At that point, in my reading of the legislation, a landlord would be able to send out a lease fully prepared and expect that within 15 days, their tenant would respond. It's unclear to me what would happen if the tenant does not respond. I also don't fully understand the interplay between the state's Tenants' Bill of Rights, which does have language around exactly what is to occur when ending a tenancy, or if the lease ends and no one gives notice. In my mind, all of this timing of when a tenant needs to renew their lease will be covered typically in the lease language itself, and also is further covered by the state's Tenants' Bill of Rights, which was effective October 1st. So to me, it seems much cleaner and much more to the point of addressing the issue that has been so well identified by our student liaisons and their colleagues to just remove that language entirely. So in the email that I sent, again, earlier today, I proposed removing that 15-day renewal clause in its entirety, so that would be striking Section 1, subsection 3B. This is on page 99 of the agenda packet. And it reads, a tenant's acceptance of a landlord's offer for a successive lease period will be evidenced by the signing of a new lease, which shall be returned to landlord via electronic communications, personal delivery, or U.S. mail no later than 15 days of receipt of the offer and new lease by tenant. The second significant sticking point for me was, again, basing that timeline on the start date of the lease. I really do think that this would lead to uneven outcomes between tenants with different lease terms. For example, if you had an 8-month lease, based on that 180 days from the start date of the lease, a landlord could be reaching out to their tenant 2 months prior to the end of the lease, which seems quite friendly and in alignment with my experience renting for 15 years, again, 6 of which were in College Park. But then if you look at a 12-month lease, which is what my lease was in College Park and what I know many folks do have, that gets you to 6 months prior to the end of the lease, which is really not a time frame in which most renters are thinking about renewing their lease. It's still right in the middle of the time they're intending to occupy their home, again, in my experience and in conversations I was able to have over the weekend. If you look at an 18-month lease, which frequently people enter into to have more certainty about where they're going to be, about their ability to occupy their home for an extended period of time, sometimes to take advantage of financial incentives, 180 days from the start date of a lease gets you to 12 months prior to the end of the lease, which I think in many cases is going to really negate the intent of signing that lease so far in advance. So my proposal is to base the renewal offer timeline on the lease end date instead of the start date. So that would be revising Section 1, subsection 2A on agenda packet page 98 to read, a landlord shall not make any renewal offer earlier than 120 days from the end of the current lease. So that would be a consistent 4 months prior to the end of the lease across the board. The final thing, which is a more minor issue, but I do think it helps with clarity, is to change the language included in the enforcements and remedies section, which is section 1, subsection 6A on page 100, to use an active voice instead of a passive voice, to just make it eminently clear that the only person or entity that could be in violation of this ordinance would be a landlord or the landlord's agent, not a renter at any point in time. So that would be striking the language, a violation of this section constitutes A, and inserting any landlord or landlord's agent who violates this section commits A prior to civil infraction punishable by a fine not less than, et cetera, et cetera. I know that's a lot of information. I am happy to hear others' thoughts, but appreciate the opportunity to share mine.
Certainly, that is the reason we're having this work session. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez, and I'll go to a student liaison. I'm coming. Thank you. Your input is important. Mr. Hernandez.
First off, I mean, I know a lot happened at the beginning of this meeting 3 hours ago, but it should be clear that a lot of the folks that are up here just got here, right? And this is a very, very, very big ordinance to swallow and like bite into pieces. So as ideas were coming out, I don't think that there was any offense from anyone up here. I think everyone was operating in good faith, and it's super important that everyone knows that. With that said, I want to thank Councilmember Simmons for her very thorough breakdown of what we have before us. I am certainly in line, and not only that, like, you didn't just present the problem, like you provided solutions or recommendations, which is super helpful to help guide these discussions, especially when you have like a pertinent like position on this. I personally was happy with the 180-day early lease. I was not happy with the just cause justification, given all of the litigation that's been seen at various levels of government. I just didn't want to open us to that further discussion or any sort of liability for the city. I understand why the efforts were being pushed, but I think, you know, one piece at a time. I also, for those of you who don't know, on the dais, am not necessarily one to interfere with the market. But with that being said, I also know there's always a balance. So with that said, I'm just going to go ahead and comment on Councilmember Simmons' recommendations, as that is the standard of this afternoon's conversation. If anybody wants to do something different, then I'll comment on those, but I want to just touch on these. I will say with 180 days, I'm completely on board. I think that's a wonderful recommendation, and speaks to the spirit of what we're even addressing here. It's like, I don't know which day you said, if you said at the end or at the beginning, but what she said, super important. It worked. I will push back and ask the rest of my colleagues on removing the 15-day renewal clause. I think it's well within the acceptable window of time for landlords to expect tenants to accept an offer here. Landlords are going to be like they're going to need to fill those vacancies, right? So if they don't have that like clause, then they're kind of just waiting until the next until like they're waiting to that 15th, 16th day without, I guess, if this was in there, in order to do it. I know that some people will just sit on a lease, and if there's no clawback, no incentive to have to accept in a reasonable amount of time, that's concerning, right? I haven't talked to anyone about this. This is just my own personal opinion, having read this recommendation. So I don't know where everyone's at. I don't know where the landlords are at on this. I don't know where the students are. I don't know. I just think that if I owned a property, I'd love an answer back, yes or no, favorable or unfavorable, so I can make my decision thereafter. With regards to the active voice, I always got beat up in English class about this, so I'm going to leave that to my English majors here on the dais. But I do understand what the spirit of the recommendation is, and it's important to make sure that we have that. So long as no one else has an issue with it, I'm supportive.
Thank you. I see. Who is the next? Ms. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to clear up a couple points since people think I'm being anti, and it's not being anti.
We are One College Park, right?
Yeah, I always say that. We're One College Park. As this bill was presented on Friday and it came to us over the weekend, I was for this 100%. Voting for it 100%. No problem at all, up and down. What I do have caution is when we get something is presented to us late and there's not enough time to do our due diligence legally. Yes, I'm going to go back because I'm of the old long-term. When I came on the council, we came into a situation of litigation with our external stakeholders, and I don't want us to go back to that. And that was my biggest concern. To my Councilmember Simmons, I appreciate your efforts because, it was thorough, intentional, gave rationale, and I appreciate that. All I want to make sure is legally if sufficient and we are able to pass it to protect all of the students. That is my end goal, bottom line. So if the 15 days are in alignment with our attorney, then I'm all for it. And with the active passive, I will say yes. So that is my biggest concern, and I want to hear. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So I see some Hill, Mr. Hill, Mr. Oates, and Mr. Ranker. Mayor Pro Tem, did you raise your hand? I spoke first. Oh, you did already. No, she already did. Yeah, Mr. Hill.
Yes. So I just wanted to comment on the fact that we're not trying to stall this or kick this down the road, to avoid making a decision on this. I think it is very important that we have a proper discussion about the changes or amendments that we would like to make to this ordinance in respect of the new council members who come on to this dais for this meeting, this first full meeting of theirs, to digest this and make an action item out of it. I think that we can get a better result bringing them into this discussion and then having an action item meeting, which down the road soon. And I am, in respect of everybody's time that they put into this, but I think in all we'll end up with a better ordinance taking this time. I don't think that we should just take another city's ordinance and just change the names to make it College Park. I think College Park is unique enough, our market is unique enough to make this our own. And our decision will go forward in time to other conversations in the ITGA, International Town and Gown Association conferences, at the National League of Cities level with the Collegiate Councils Committee. This will have a longer reach than just here in College Park, and I think we should make this an ordinance for College Park with all stakeholders involved. I really do appreciate the time and the comments that Councilmember Simmons has added to this. I think it's all been beneficial, and I think that between what, as for the 15-day portion, I think between your comments and what Stephanie Anderson, our attorney, has experienced with that topic, that we can find a good compromise. The last thing I like to see is students and renters. I have a number of friends who are renters in the city be pushed into a decision that's rushed in such an important part of what is their life. I do have friends who are looking to buy a house similar to Ms. Simmons, Councilmember Simmons has in the past, and find themselves saying, oh, well, looks like I'm going to be here another couple of years because I have to sign a lease, and I haven't been able to, the market hasn't been favorable. I haven't been able to find a suitable house to buy. So they're trapped yet longer and longer in their lease because of these current practices. I really do like, I think it's a good solution to come up with from the end of the lease up 120 days, being 4 months prior. I think that would be useful and protect the students' interests and other renters' interests in that. So the one concern I had, and I know that the landlords here that remained will have maybe an issue with, is the just cause portion. There's a reason for it. And it's a complicated one because it's been tied up in committee at the state level. And I think that to not acknowledge that in this ordinance could create problems down the road. I'd like to say that we would take into consideration the state's legislation where it lands on this, be addressed to this ordinance in the future, rather than just leaving it completely open. I mean, you don't need to define it right now, but we will want to honor what the state comes up with that's just for the renters and the landlords when it comes to just cause.
Thank you. So you would like to see some enabling legislation at the state level before you
some sort of comment in this that we will address that when it becomes finalized. Not that we do not intend to address this by striking it altogether. Is that something that seems possible?
Ms. Anderson?
Adding to this, Ms. Anderson?
Can I repeat the question?
Yeah, can you repeat that question for me?
So can we have within this ordinance that the Part 4 that talks about the just cause, that we will be in compliance with what is resolved at the state level? Because a lot of this stuff is tied up.
Well, we're taking that out of our legislation completely, and so I think it would probably be better to see what happens at the state level and then sort of take our lead from there. Because the whole argument is that the area may be preempted, and so we would want to make sure. Because you're just saying mention it, and once if it happens, then we could just go ahead and we could amend our code to comply with what happened at the state level.
Okay. Let's wait until. That's your suggesting. Let's wait until the state enabling legislation is.
Well, because I just want to make sure I understand what Councilmember Hugh wants. Right now, the proposal is to delete all references of good cause renewal. It would not be in if you all adopted that section of the proposed amendment?
Well, there's reasons why that we initially wanted to include good cause. And I think that still remains, and that the state even acknowledges it, but it is not something they've concluded yet, that we will need to amend down the road. And I just thought it'd be good to have it in language in there saying that that is our intent, that not to just totally, disclude any good cause.
Let me think about that, because right now the bills that were in Annapolis, they didn't pass. So there's nothing, unless somebody's put something in for this upcoming legislative session.
We can always come back and amend it.
Well, then we can always amend it later.
Yeah, can always do that, yeah. Mr. Hernandez, we can come back. Let's finish the first bites, and then I'll go to student liaison. Mr. Oates and then Mr. Ranker.
Thank you. And I want to just reinforce the earlier comments from others that I think everyone here is doing on the dais, is doing what they think is best for the city of College Park, and encourage everyone in the audience to assume positive intent of your elected officials. And I would also just push back on the idea that this was pushed back because of special interests, but rather I think there's a variety of questions that we need to, and concerns that were raised, and I think it's valuable for us to discuss that and appreciate this work session to be able to do that. In that regard, I have 2 points and 2 questions. One is that on page 97, under the third whereas, there's a misspelling of the word mayor that hopefully we can address. Also in 6B, I think it needs to elaborate rent from the presentation to align with your comments. I'd like to understand under number 5 and the waiver, kind of how that's expected to work in practice. Effectively, it sounds like tenants can waive their rights and sign a new lease sooner than whatever restrictions we would put in there, but that would be up to the tenant to decide. And then my second question is that just helping me understand, under the ordinance as currently drafted, there's no limitations on advertising a new lease, but that this would only ask renters to renew. It would provide restrictions on renewals of leases, but wouldn't provide any restrictions on offerings of new leases.
So I think the 2 questions, first one, waiver, how that's expected to work. The intent of the revision was to address concerns that if on the tenant side there was some relief that was needed from any provision in this section, that the tenant could initiate the waiver, not a waiver or mutual waiver between both parties, but the tenant initiated waiver. And then to make sure that it was clear, it needed to be written. The waiver coming from the tenant would be written, and that the landlord needs to acknowledge receipt of that waiver. And then I believe that the parties should negotiate. I don't want it to be that we're so involved in that contractual relationship further than we are, because I don't know the nature of the waiver, and that wasn't my intent. It was to address the concern that initially waiver of any of the provisions as originally introduced was not permitted. And frankly, that came from the students' concerns from the testimony, and I talked with our student liaison about having the flexibility to allow a tenant, and because we say student, but any tenant, to have that conversation with their landlord. And then I think, what was the second question? Please refresh, I forgot.
Can I repeat?
Under the ordinance as drafted, there'd be no limitations on advertising new leases. This only pertains to renewals.
Correct. I mean, the intent is to only, the intent of the policy behind the ordinance was to address forced early renewals.
Thank you. That's all we have. Mr. Ranker. You have.
Yes, and I do want to make sure we give our student liaisons a chance before we go to second bite.
Certainly. Yeah, let's finish the first bite.
Yep. Just a couple comments. I know from the city charter, effective date, if it's not written specifically, is 20 days after something is adopted. I just wanted to make sure that still seemed like the most reasonable thing to do. In terms of, I had a question along, is there anything, this was in an email from a while ago, but anything that would kind of prevent anything like pre-tenancy fees? I know that the Maryland Tenants Bill of Rights sets an application fee limit, but is there any kind of ways to kind of, I don't know, work around to have pre-tenancy fees?
Currently,
Yeah.
we did not address that in this legislation. So I would need to know a little bit more of the landscape. Like, I don't know what's happening, and like I need a little bit more on the issue, and then how it's addressed, or if it's addressed at the state level or anything like that. And like, for an example, you're saying that when you go to renew, the landlord charges you a fee. You're not talking about like a security deposit. I mean, I'm trying to, what is a pre-tenancy?
Like well, we can't offer you or ask you to renew your lease, but you can pay us to have you on the list for, and so, we're going to start with the people at the top of the list and, kind of thing. So I hear you saying something to look into.
Yes. I mean, we have some flexibility if we wanted to kind of put that in our current ordinance, but I would research that and get back with you. But we could put it in the current law if that's the will of the body.
Ms. Jordan.
Great. I'm wondering, one last thing too. I know, again, with the Maryland Tenant Bill of Rights, there's a requirement that leases include that in there. I'm just thinking about how we make sure everybody's informed of this. Is it worth also having a one-pager that is then required in leases so that our tenants will know their rights with this also?
I think we could do that. We could look at, and I would talk to the director, because we do license certain. You have to have the local licensing. It sounds like a good idea. I'd have to think through the logistics.
Does it need to be coded in the ordinance? It looks like it's a procedural thing.
Point of information. In the Tenants Bill of Rights, it says that landlords must attach the latest version of this document to every residential lease. So that is already a requirement, and it is a 14-page document.
And and then ours would be additional things.
Right. Yeah.
That
you were talking about this law.
Yes, exactly.
Not because you have to put it in the Tenants
right. The
Bill
tenants.
of Rights is required.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Thank you. That's all we have. Ms. Jordan.
Thank you. Again, I do appreciate all of the work that was put into this, and I want to echo my colleagues that what we're trying to do is to make sure that this is right, and we want to make sure that we're thinking about all of the we don't have unintended consequences, that we think about many different types of rental arrangements that are in College Park, so that we don't preclude certain people. And so having the lease end at the having the count be from the end of the lease versus the beginning, they seem like they address two different issues. One of them is with the lease, with the window being after the beginning of the lease, is that the tenant has had a long enough time to be there so that they can determine, like, is this a place I would want to stay? Because if you don't know your roommates, you don't know how well the place is kept up, like you have, like, how far away it is for your commute, all these kinds of things, that was what we heard, at least from a lot of the public comment, was those kinds of things having to do with the beginning of the lease and how long you were in it. However, for someone with an 8-month lease versus an 18-month lease, that leads to these consequences that Councilmember Simmons brought up about leading to someone with a 12-month lease having to determine 6 months in advance, an 18-month lease 12 months in advance. And so I don't know where that stands, and I'd like to hear what you have to say about that, because the proposal does kind of change what it would be for the students with 8-month leases. So can I ask them a question?
Certainly, yeah.
Okay. How common are 8-month leases for university students that you've spoken to?
Yeah, so the most common type of lease for students in the city is the 12-month lease agreement.
Okay.
Obviously, 8-month or shorter lease agreements happen for people who are either transferring in last minute or maybe switching into a unit, but 12-month was the one that we identified the most.
Okay, so this was mostly crafted for that length of a lease. Okay, thank you. And for the first part, where it was the tenant's bill of rights and the 15 days, I think to Councilmember Hernandez's question, it's not that there is no there's no requirement. It's just that the city isn't putting the requirement in. It would be up to the landlord to say, I need you to respond within this amount of time. So that would preclude a tenant just sitting on a lease that if they didn't respond, they just wouldn't be renewing. Is that Councilmember Simmons who wrote this? Was that
that is the
what you
rationale
meant?
for?
That is my expectation. In my experience, the terms of renewal are typically addressed in the lease, and then they are further addressed. Where did it go? Information related to ending a tenancy and what happens if the lease ends and no one gives notice is further addressed in the tenant's bill of rights. So typically it is in the private agreement, and then there is further information in the state's regulations.
Can I interrupt, because I want to make sure that I understand something that's being said. This ordinance is addressing early renewal, and it's just saying when a landlord that you cannot have approach your tenant earlier than a certain time frame. But I want to make sure, because I'm hearing a couple of different things, like if you wait beyond 6 months, some of this stuff, and I think that's what I wanted to think about, we're not trying to pull that action in. We're trying to address I want to make sure that I understand what we're doing in terms of this was specifically trying to address the early renewal issue. And so sometimes I hear it like this is a forced action when you go to renew the lease. And that's where I'm not sure if we've brought in a different concept, or if that is the policy objective, that now we're going with all renewals, like the whole renewal process. This was just meant for the timing of when you could start talking to the students. So I want to make sure that we're have that kind of discussion, and be interested to hear from the students as to the issue that we want to make sure we're addressing.
So it's now 10:30.
Yeah,
so
Mr. Mayor, move to
extend the meeting.
Extend the meeting.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? extension. So our meeting is extended.
Because
Let's
I'll
continue.
just add, just the language right now says a landlord shall not make any renewal offer earlier than. And so sometimes if the lease is going to control, because there's not a good cause non-renewal piece of this now in the ordinance, there is no requirement that a landlord renew your lease. We don't have that protection. The transaction will be controlled by the written lease.
Thank you. So let's give the opportunity to a student liaison. You heard all the different ideas of further changes and some of the tweaks, and I want to hear from you. What do you think? And that is very important. Who is going to start? Bujma.
First thing I want to do is address council. I know tensions were pretty high earlier in the meeting, but Nick and we really want to work with you guys on this. And the proposed amendments we looked over, we really appreciate how they are tenant focused. And this is something that we want to work on going forward. So while a lot of students, including ourselves, were disappointed with the postponing of the vote, we understand why it happened. And going forward, we want to move past that and make sure that we can produce the best ordinance that we can.
Exactly.
And then just to address Ms. Simmons, we read over your amendments. Once again, we really appreciate how tenant-focused they are and really like the protections that you were going for with these amendments. I'd say the very first thing I want to talk about is the 15-day renewal clause. So I honestly do not agree with the removal of Section 3B, and mainly because 15 days, given where leases are currently, is a much longer time. I know when I had to renew my lease, I was only given 24 hours to renew it. So having 15 days, honestly, is a good time frame to decide whether or not you want to take up that offer. Once again, I'd just be concerned about if this was left and there's no deadline for when a tenant needs to accept this lease, it does kind of leave it up in the air. So it does seem a little bit unfair to landlords, especially smaller landlords of single-family homes, because they don't have that exact date when they know that this lease is going to be locked in. So that's just our take on it, because we've talked to students, and I know how I feel. 15 days is a long enough time. And then additionally, to talk about first, to change the language to 180 days to the end of the current lease date, we do agree with that. We do think that is a good change. When we decided to do the start of the current lease, it's because we did have 12-month leases in mind, because that's what students typically take up. But this is a good proposal. We do like that. One thing we are a little bit iffy about are the 120 days, because 180 days before a lease ends, that is a good enough time to kind of decide, kind of know where you are, where you're settled, whereas 120 days before, it doesn't really align with university housing, and it kind of shifts everything and throws everything off. So I'll let Nick talk a little bit more about this, but that's our stance on these given amendments.
Thank you.
I think Mira did a really good job of summing up our position on this. Again, we do agree with the change from the language to say end instead of start, but touching more on the change from 180 to 120, we are not supportive of that specific recommendation. I think it also is notable to reveal the fact that when we were looking into this 180 agreement, there was a lot of stakeholder perspective driven into this, not just talking with students, but also engaging with property owners in the city. And this was a compromise that we came to that works for us all. And I think when we're making something like this, and kind of the recognition, especially when we were adding more amendments today, is that we really need to be stakeholder focused when making this as well, so we find a clear balance. I think also there's an unintended consequence if we have the 120 of the other end of it being too far out, and students might be scrambling to find something rather than feeling pressure to sign early. They might be scrambling to find something at the end. So we really are supportive of keeping the 180 rather than the 120 for that reasoning, but we're obviously open to conversations regarding this topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Anyone else there's further questions. Ms. Anderson, do you have any follow-up questions?
No.
Are you good
I am.
proceeding with it? You
I
have
like
a good
to-
sense of the changes, the council and the body? And I know you still need to talk to other stakeholders, especially our property owners association and other stakeholders, and and we have, thankfully, have enough time now.
Yes.
And it'll be done.
And it's always helpful if I make
Yeah.
changes to the language proposed
Thank
and take
you.
a look at it.
Yeah, I wish you could give everyone in the room opportunity to speak. Unfortunately, the formats of the meeting will not allow us. Thank you. Mr. Oates, second bite?
Because on May 2. I just wanted to suggest that maybe, I know that the action item agenda was moved to February 3rd, but I would encourage if the city can provide an updated, amended version as soon as possible before that, so that if additional views of council need to be incorporated in future revisions, that we can have further work sessions to accommodate that. Thank you.
We'll handle accordingly.
Thank you. And it might be helpful because I know you're an attorney, but our residents are not. It might be helpful if you could maybe a brief summary of the changes being made in the plain English. People can understand. The non-attorney people could understand easily. Sometimes it's difficult. And you do a good job.
Thank you. Will
Thank
do.
you. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Seeing none, no other comments. Oh, second bite, please go ahead, Ms. Abujima.
Just one other thing I want to add, because I know Stephanie did ask for a point of clarification regarding our goals for this ordinance. Our main objectives with this is the 180 days, just making sure that students don't feel a lot of pressure to re-sign their leases too early into the lease. So that's why when we were having discussions about good cause, we were willing to strike those out and compromise, because really the number one thing that students are feeling pressured by is just the renewal pressure to renew your lease extremely early. So that's where we stand on this, and that's what we're looking for out of this ordinance, just for context.
Thank you. And thank you. Appreciate your engagement. Appreciate that. Mr. Hill, second bite, quick one.
I just wanted more clarification on how you, when you mentioned it, 120 days from the end of the lease does not align with the university practices and all that. I'd like a little more detail on that.
Yeah, so kind of a general model, like what the university does for their housing, it's kind of usually targeted towards like the end of February. But kind of the worry with having 120 rather than 180 is that if you're having it a little too far out, there's kind of a happy medium where people want to be able to lock in housing for the next school year, but they also don't want to be asked to do so in the middle of finals in October, which is, you know, a reasonable ask for students to have that expectation. But they also don't want to feel like it's too far or too close to the following school year that they might not know where they want to be able to live next year. And I just don't want to create a situation where we have that unintended consequence of people possibly scrambling to find housing if we push it off a little too late. It's about finding a happy medium that works with students and also, as I talked about, stakeholder perspective here as well, works with property owners too. This is something that they have, we've worked with them as well on, and it's been something that we've compromised and agreed on too. So I just think that's something that key that we need to be moving forward with when we continue with this ordinance.
And then I'd also like to add, from a student perspective, a little bit of pressure is good, as long as it's not too early on before you can actually make this life-changing decision. And kind of like what Nick was mentioning, we do want this to align with university housing. That doesn't open up until around January, February, but if we were to push it to be 4 months before your lease period ends, then that kind of limits those options a little bit more, because now it's like, do you sign up for university housing or do you do an apartment? So it's just kind of aligning those time frames to be at the same time. I also want to add, a lot of single family homes, those leases don't start until August. So if you're doing 4 months before then it won't be until April, May when you're deciding whether or not to renew, which is very late, and that is around finals time. So after talking to students, just having one semester to be able to decide what your plans are for next year, that is ample enough time to be able to decide these things.
Thank you. Ms. Jordan?
So I want to go back to one thing that the city attorney Anderson said about that I think I misspoke in this as well about conflating the offer or the approaching by the landlord with the actual signing of the lease. And so if it's 120 days and the tenant would like to sign earlier than that, there's nothing in this ordinance that precludes that. The student then just goes to the landlord and says, I would like to initiate a waiver, and then the landlord responds like, this doesn't keep that situation from happening. So does that solve the issue that you're talking about?
So what I would say is that with this 120 days, they technically would not be able to ask you to renew your lease until then, which in that ask, they would explain things like rent prices, when you need to sign by, and kind of give you those deadlines, which is important information for a student to know. So once again, like our big thing was just we didn't want it too early on, not in October, not in November. But when it comes to January, when you're actually weighing these options, you have 6 months until you're about to sign into a new lease. That is a good time frame to understand what your options are with where you currently live and what the renewal process will be. Because I know, like, if in my apartment, if they only sent me that information 4 months before, probably in January, I'd be wondering, okay, what are my options here? Like, what should I be doing? Can I even live here? Did they give away my unit? So that's just something to get students thinking about the time frame.
But my impression was that the waiver language was that if you want to renew, then you just approach your landlord, and it's not saying that you are signing at that point. You're just allowing the negotiation to move to take place.
Yeah.
So is that not sufficient for people who do want to have a little bit more time than whatever date this ordinance ends up doing?
Yeah, I would say that if people know about the right to renew, then yes, that would be sufficient. But I'd say given that this is a new ordinance, I know it would be hard to communicate that to students. So just in our personal opinion, having that timeline, the 180 days is better. And especially with what Nick was mentioning, we did come to that compromise with stakeholders, and we do want something that people are actively willing to participate in. I feel like if this is something that a lot of landlords are extremely upset by, or if it disrupts their practices in a substantial way, that could be bad for the city. So this is just something that we're trying to collaborate with everyone on.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Simmons.
I just wanted to say really quickly that I really appreciate your thoughtful commentary on the amendments that I was proposing. And I'm really looking forward to working with you all on this going forward. And thank you for your patience with us. I genuinely appreciate it.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Looks like we are all trying to work together to coming to a point everyone is happy. Thank you. All right. If there isn't anything, and thank you all for staying late, and thank you the members of the stakeholders. Appreciate your engagement, and I want to make sure that that you will be contacted and you'll be part of the engagement, and because you're one of the important stakeholders in this legislation. So thank you. All right. With that, let's go to the next item, and we're actually coming to the end of the agenda. Requests for a status of the future agenda items. I don't think I have seen any applications from the council members. Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's not a new agenda item. It's an old agenda item that I just wanted to see if we will be able to bring that up for discussion. And it's the emergency
preparedness.
Yes, emergency preparedness. I know we've been talking about this for about a year and a half, so I just wanted to see if we can get this going.
Is this in the master list, Ms. Allen?
Yes,
it is on the master calendar. We were waiting for our new hire to get on board, which he's been on board now for probably a month, maybe a month and a half, maybe.
Mr. Ed.
But we are working. We're not quite ready yet, but as soon as we are ready, we will bring it forward.
Thank you. I'm sure he'll be a huge help, given his background. All right, seeing none, let's do the comments from the audience. So this is the time to come forward and speak on anything under the sun. Please state your name for the record and if you are a resident of College Park.
My name is Yona Gross. I'm a resident in District 3. I just wanted a few things first to Councilmember Simmons' point about the 180-day start or end. I believe in what was Section 6, let me pull it up, but it is now Section 4. It says timing for all leases exceeding 12 months. The timeline required by the section will start to run on the first day of the final 12-month period. So, and 180 days after the start, 180 days before the end is 6 months. So it's kind of, there's a 5-day difference, but it's pretty much the same thing. So I do think the ordinance does take care of that. I want to say that I appreciate a lot of the council members' comments that what they did was not intended to be disrespectful. And I believe them when they say that. At the same time, what happened today could have been done in a better fashion than what we saw. And I would just say that for future reference, the students could have more of an advanced notice that something that we will expect to be voted on won't be voted on. I believe we didn't know about this until a few hours. I believe the student liaisons who might be able to comment on this didn't know about this until a few hours before this might be delayed, and I didn't know about it until I really got into the room. Another thing, and if I'm recalling back from the rent subsidy discussion, was that you can add the work session without removing the action item, so you could have this long discussion and then at the end vote on it. And you could also, and even then, have an action item and then move to table it. And on that motion, students could testify, I believe. So there could still be the motion to table it, and like the point said today, have if the council needs to still work it out, they could work it out, but the students who showed up could still testify, hear the reasoning from the council and why they want to postpone it to a different date. And then will be, I feel like, a much better process. And I hope next time this all happens, we'll all have maybe a slightly better temperament than what we saw today. But I thank the council for their time and for their understanding.
Thank you. Thank you for your understanding. And thank you for all the good comments. Anyone? I'm glad that someone from the property owners is coming forward. Don't want you to feel left out.
Good evening, council members, staff, student liaisons. My name is Sean Willems. I'm a resident of District 3, an attorney, and managing partner of College Living Property Management, which our office is just across the street in the College Park Shopping Center. And we provide affordable housing to students and members of the workforce who work for the University of Maryland. Our average rent is $861 per bed, not $1,800 per bed, as was indicated in the presentation you all saw tonight. I think that data might include the apartments. $1,800 per bed would be nice, but it would also be crazy. We, much like the students, by we, I'm Lisa Miller and Rob Davis from PGPOA came out tonight to support the early lease ordinance as amended. We'd worked with the student liaison, the city council, and council members on the amended language. And so we look forward to continuing to work together to get this early lease ordinance enacted. I will say, as to Councilman Ranker's point, the city already mandates the city housing disclosure be initialed by tenants in every lease, and so certain language could certainly be added to city code to include, a notice of this ordinance once it's enacted. I was showing Director Kokar the city housing disclosure that exists in our leases. And so I think that's pretty much it. Thank you, guys, and look forward to getting this early lease ordinance passed.
There you go. There you go. That's the spirit. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Let's see. Anyone is online? Don't see any virtual hands. Seeing none, let's come to the days. Starting with Councilmember Mitchell with the mayor and council members' comments and the student liaison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to say that last Friday I attended the COGS Farm meeting that was online, and we had two interesting presentations. One from the State Comptroller Maryland, Brooke Lehman. She briefly talked about the state tax policy options for supporting low-income residents, how they're looking at it in a more in-depth perspective in regards to SNAP and how they can help residents to expand more money they can get into their income to be able to purchase food. Also, we heard a presentation from the Virginia's next secretary, Katie Frazier, and they have some very interesting initiatives they want to bring forward to help, in addition with SNAP, but overall to help with farmers and with families being able to get more food resources into their homes. So hopefully we will get another report in January in regards to more of the tenets of both of their initiatives from Virginia as well from Comptroller Lehman. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Mackey.
Okay. Thank you very much. I had the distinct privilege of going to the Maryland Tourism Summit. It was a while back, but we didn't have a meeting afterwards. And it was a very interesting and enlightening meeting about how tourism is so important to our state. And I'm looking forward to working with both Michael Williams and Rihanna to bring some more tourism opportunities into our city. So if you have any ideas, please run them by me. And secondly, I want to just thank our new council members for just how they came on board with just ready to get going, and they added so much good knowledge and just energy to this discussion. And I also want to thank our student liaisons for their really thoughtful in making this problem known to us and clear for us, and your patience. We answer to a lot of people, and we wanted to get this completely right, and I just want to thank you for that. Thank you.
And thank you for your leadership at the Tourism Summit, and you brought so much honor to College Park, and thank you for receiving the award on behalf of the city. Can I give a round of applause one more time? Thank you. Appreciate that. Mr. Ranker.
Yeah, I want to echo those comments, and I was saving this piece till the end just to say that I share, I understand and recognize the frustration that many of our important constituents felt tonight. I understand even the feeling of disrespect. I want to say I've been serving now for 9 months, and I have witnessed nothing but integrity from my colleagues here and the city's staff. I always am assuming the best in people, and there are times when we make mistakes or we don't exactly get it right. And kind of tonight, there was a bit of a perfect confluence of chaos at the beginning of the meeting. And I'll also add that I love these guys, and we disagree, and that's okay. But I do want to just state again that I think it's important to understand that, especially in the political climate of today, that any mentions of like seeing folks outside of our roles and our public duty are often seen as a threat, and to me crosses a line. And so I do thank Councilmember Hernandez for speaking up and sharing that. I also it's kind of interesting because we start this new council right after the the installation, but we haven't had our council retreat or council advance where we'll try to make sure that we're working well, that we're giving advance notice. We'll kind of set the expectations for ourselves, and I know we have high expectations for ourselves because we want to do things well in a way that engages the community, that you all feel like it's a fair process, that your voices are heard and taken seriously and into consideration. And so I know that that's a commitment of mine and a commitment of ours as we kind of set the tone in how we as a council will operate. Thanks.
Thank you. Shorts?
Maybe, Kenny, is it okay if I talk about what we emailed about earlier today? So I just wanted to flag for folks that the city will now, if you have go through the joys of renewing your permit parking, if you live in a permit parking zone, there's now going to be a way to request the shuttle pass to receive that as part, which you can already receive. There's already an application that you can fill out if you are not a permit parker, but trying to make it a little bit easier using the tools the city already has for people to access the services that are there. So really appreciate the very quick work of city staff in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you. So I this morning I had the honor of joining my fantastic colleagues, Mr. Ranker and Mayor Pro Tem Mackey, and the Raising Canes. And believe it or not, since last night, midnight, quite a few people have been waiting and in lines, and there's hundreds of people because they're at the end. You're only seeing now, but since last night and in the cold, they've been waiting. I couldn't believe it. So it was a fantastic event this morning, and we had the opportunity to do the ribbon cutting together. So that was fantastic. And I'd like to repeat what I said in the beginning because it is so important that what happened today in terms of changing the schedule, in terms of moving the ordinance, that was not intentional. And I myself even didn't know that this was going to happen. And the circumstance that actually was created at the late hours, that was the discussion that forced us to do it. So there wasn't any ill intent from our part. Everything was done in good faith. So we respect every stakeholders, and we didn't receive any letters or any emails or any call from any of the stakeholders. And I can guarantee that. You can always ask with a MPIA request, all the emails we exchanged, so you don't see any foul play. I can guarantee you. So please trust in us. And please do not assume anything about the characters of any of our colleagues. They're good people. I work with them. Okay? So I'm real emotional. Thank you. Ms. Mitchell. Sorry, Ms. Simon.
Thank you, Mayor Kabir. I do not really have any substantive comments to wrap up the evening, but I do appreciate you all being here very much. Have an excellent night.
Thank you. And happy holidays. Ms. Jordan. You pass. Mr. Hill.
Yes, thank you. So I apologize. Oh, well, first off, yes, the only reason why we made changes this evening is to have a better end product for you all. Now, I did not feel confident in moving forward without having a good discussion of how we wanted to edit this ordinance for the best of everybody involved. And I felt that we were able to accomplish that by doing a work session on this and then coming back to it with a better product for the actual action item. So again, this is, I feel better that we've had this discussion now, that we didn't have to make a decision on it or push it down the road again. So I hope that can be appreciated. I understand the frustration with it, but we had a better end game in mind. So with that being said, I apologize for missing our inauguration last week. I had made reservations to go home after the National League of Cities conference in Salt Lake City, since I was halfway across the country at the time. It is a minimum of 11 hours to just go home to Hawaii, 5 hours across the continent, and then you must change planes somewhere, and another 5 hours across the ocean. So I literally just got back last night.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Let's continue.
Second. That the reason why I'm wearing the lei tonight was it was given to me by my mother during the inauguration, at the end of the inauguration. So
you look good.
In honor to her and my family back home, wearing the lei. And with that, I will say to you and your ohana, mele kalikimaka, ha'oli makahiho. That's Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's in Hawaiian to you and your family. And to be safe and look out for your neighbors in this time. Many of them go home that are students and may have unoccupied houses. Be safe. Have a motion detecting light or some sort of light on in the house so it doesn't look empty. But residents, look out for your neighbors and be kind and patient and have happy holidays.
Thank you. That was nice. Mr. Hernandez.
Yes, thank you. Though, I'll just quickly touch on the excitement from today. There's many different ways to address issues and concerns. I hope that we can always remain respectful, and where we're not, I'm going to call you out on it. At least that's what I'm going to make the determination this time around. I will say that I think we could have done an action item and still had a conversation and then tabled it if we needed to. There's always ways to do it. You got to make a way out of nowhere when you're up here. But that's it on that comment. I'm glad that everybody was adaptive and we figured out a way forward either ways. This is the holiday season. I know that many people are super excited to go to wherever they're going to go, but there are many people, especially across the city, that experience just difficult times, whether they've lost. Going to be okay. There's also many different resources that you can use. I myself will be taking a step back. I will not be in person in any of the meetings during the month of January. The district discussion will be kind of my last in-person appearance. I will not be sick.
Only for January, right?
Yeah, don't get too excited. I will be around, and when I can, I will try to. I will join online, but I need to take a break. So I'm going to lead by example. Don't leave for a month. I'm not saying that, but I've waited for a while. But either ways, I know that Monday is Hanukkah, or the first day of Hanukkah. So happy Hanukkah for those who celebrate. Of course, Christmas is right around the corner as well, and many people are going to be traveling. So I wish you the absolute best, and I think Kwanzaa is at the end of the month somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, and happy New Year's. All right, I'll see you around when I see you. Take care.
Thank you. Mr. Diaz-Pereira.
Motion adjourned.
No. Hold on.
I'm sorry, I was excited.
Not so fast. Dick, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just as a reflection of today and everything, we are really looking forward to continue to discussing the early release ordinance going forward, and we're appreciative to be involved with the comment making from Councilmember Simmons' suggestions and recommendations. Look forward to working with you going forward with the early release ordinance. This is something that me and Amira, when we entered positions in May, it started as an idea, and now it's a full-fledged thing, which is really great to see, and been able to get a lot of stakeholders involved and really gain perspective from there. But I do want to address, obviously, the situation that happened and the start of the meeting. I recognize, obviously, this was not done by The short notice was not done with any ill intent or disrespect in any nature. But I do have to be blunt about the unintended consequence that this has for students in their engagement with the city. I think from the start of this position, I've been told by council members to, work towards civic engagement and getting more students involved. And that's something that we've really been working hard to do and have achieved, especially at the public hearing. We had over 30 students come to this, and similar other events that we had, such as the candidate forum. But the unintended consequence here is when students take time out of their schedules to go to things like this and they're not made aware, they feel like there's a sense of distrust. And that's a valid emotion for them to feel in this instance. I think that we really do need to do better in how we communicate this over to residents who take time out of their schedules, not just students, for all stakeholders involved and everyone who comes to speak. I think that needs to be something that we find a way forward to address meaningfully and reflectively, and something that we look forward to working with you all on. Thank you.
Certainly. Thank you. Mr. Bujima.
Yes, I just want to add on to everything Nick said. We've been working with you guys for the past 6 months. We understand where your positions are on certain things, and we understand that you guys are not malicious and are fully willing to work with us on this early lease ordinance, and we're excited to do so. But what students saw tonight, and as we've heard from them through their comments, was they felt very disrespected, especially with the short notice. And to build that relationship with students when it's already so hard to get them to come out and come to council is a pretty negative thing. So just going forward, keeping in mind, notice, even if Nick and I were told yesterday that this could potentially be postponed, then we could have told people to not come out. Because right now, it's finals, people are studying. It was really hard for them to come. So just something to keep in mind. But once again, we appreciate everything you guys are doing. We know the reason why it was postponed was so that we can get the best product possible. So we're excited to continue working on this with you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for understanding. Let's go to Mr. Young.
Yes, I just got one quick announcement, actually 2 quick announcements. Just want to congratulate Councilmember Denise Mitchell, who was nominated on a slate last week for the COG board as the Secretary-Treasurer. Takes a lot of hand-holding and ringing to get that, so congratulations to you, and it's a very good representation of the city and everything that we're about. The other thing I would just ask for each of you, I heard a number of you say dates that you might be missing. If you could just forward that to me, and I'll share that to me and Yvette, and we'll make sure, because we always just want to make sure we have a quorum. So that's all I'd ask. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So at this point, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, any abstention? We adjourn. Good night, College Park, and happy holidays.